draft recap of my newest league, the PLC, the Pokemon League Championship. And today I'm not here by myself, I'm also here with Jan. So Jan, quickly introduce yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Jan. I'm from the Gamers Do NL YouTube channel. Um, I'm here together with my friend to, how do you say it, to recap the full draft of our Pokemon League Championship.
Yes,
So
that's right. And the draft has already been done, so it's not really live. What we're doing is basically we're going to talk through all of the picks that the people have made, and we're going to discuss them really quickly. What we think of the picks, how we think of the teams, and what we like to do first. Jan and I agreed on that. Is that we quickly also explain how draft leagues work, because we have some new people in the league as well. And I've also talked to some new people that were going to watch the stream. So a quick introduction to Draft League is always nice. So quickly, what you see on the screen right now is we have different tiers. Different leagues have different tiers, but there's usually tier 1 to 5. Some leagues have a tier 6 as well, but usually still tier 5. We decided to go with 12 Pokemon in total. Some leagues do 11 Pokemon in total, so there's some small changes in that. But otherwise, how it works, each tier has different Pokemon. Like tier 1 has the highest value Pokemon, like really good Pokemon in there, and then it goes down a little to the like less usable Pokemon. Together, you draft a full team of, in this case, 12. And each week you battle another team with 12 Pokemon. You just choose the 6 Pokemon you think you're gonna need for that battle. And then basically it's just a 1v1, 6v6 battle against each other in a league format. And Jan will quickly explain the specific rules we have with clauses and everything, so that I'm not talking all the time by myself. So Jan, take it away, my friend.
yeah, in a draft league there are some rules. One of them is a sleep clause. It means that you only can have one opponent or one Pokemon of your opponent can sleep. So there are what not is not allowed is the one hit KO moves. Think about what are they, Horn Drill if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
and that kind of moves. So those are not allowed. We have the evasion clause. So thinking about the annoying thing from back in the days is mud slap is not allowed.
Thank God.
So that kind of stuff. What do we have more? The battle pass can only be used without the speed uppers. If you, yeah, and item clause is not a thing, if I'm not mistaken this time.
Nope. Nope. That's the first
So
one.
you can use as many items on the same Pokemon as you want. Then we have for the last rule is that our Z captains um, from the whole draft you drafted, you can pick two Z crystal users. Together they have a point total of minimum 6, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
So if you have a tier 1 Pokemon as your Z crystal user, you can only use the tier 5 together. Is that right?
Yeah,
Maybe it's
that's
not
right.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you got.
For the extra rules.
Yeah, I think you got everything. So that's the click rules that we apply. And regarding the draft rules, there's a structure in that as well. On my right, you can see the draft order. We always obviously start from 1 till number 12. Then we do a round recap. So Jan and I will discuss every single pick in that specific round. And the second round will go from 12 to 1. So it's a snake draft. That way, the person being in number 12 doesn't have to wait every single turn when he's at 12, so he can pick 2 times in a row, and in the end the number 1 can pick twice in a row as well. I think we discussed everything, so Jan, are you ready to discuss the first pick of the Pokemon League Championship?
Yeah, I am.
So
I'm
here we
ready.
go. For the first pick overall, the Hardristic Quailfish took Mega Venusaur. And I think you have something fun to tell us about Mega Venusaur, Jan, in this
Yeah,
pick, don't you?
In a draft league, it's not unusual to get sniped in this kind of leagues. And right off the bat, the first pick overall was my first snipe as well. Mega Venusaur was on the top list of my draft because it's very bulky. It has the ability Tick Fat, so ice moves and fire moves are not that effective. So it overall it's a great Pokemon to have in your team as a tank and as a wall as well. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Venusaur. It's just an amazing Pokemon.
Yeah, I think Mega Venusaur going first pick. I didn't expect that to be fair, but it is a really solid Pokemon, really solid Mega Pokemon. As Jan said, Thick Fat making it really useful. It gets Leech Seed, so it can stall out its opponents. Giga Drain to recover even more health. So yeah, even though I didn't expect it turn one, it's a really good pick from the Heart District Quillfish, I think. After that, obviously, we go to the second pick overall. The new Dorpnidos took Excadrill. And personally, I think Excadrill is a really good Steel type Pokemon. Getting the Ground type on it as well. You can run it diverse ways. It can run Rapid Spin, obviously. And if you combine it with Sand, and I'm not going to spoil if he's getting Sand on this team or not, but if you get it in Sand, it's just a really awesome sweeper. What do you think of this pick?
Excadrill is just amazing. It is a Pokemon. It's not that high of a speed Pokemon, but with sand, it's incredibly fast. It hits hard. It's even nice that he has the ability Mold Breaker, so even flying Pokemon are affected by Earthquake, if I'm right. Um, so that is really nice. It's a very good answer to as good as every fairy type. It's a good switch in for poison Pokemon. So with
Yeah,
this typing, it's just great.
I totally agree. Excadrill is a really good Pokemon. And I think your team is up next, and you actually took Blacephalon. And since you picked it, I'm gonna let you do the word. Why did you pick Blacephalon as your first pick overall?
Blacephalon was my first pick overall because it's a extremely hard-hitting, fast fire type. These are a little bit rare, and I instead of using a core with Dragon Fairy Steel, I wanted to start with a fire, water, grass core this time. So Blacephalon was a great pick, great fire type. Um, it's a
Yeah,
good switch in when Pokemon want to use Rapid Spin because it's a Ghost type as well,
exactly.
and the move pool is diverse. You can use items like a Choice Scarf, and that
Yeah, and don't
gives
even
you.
forget the Beast Boost. I mean, if this thing gets a kill and it starts getting Beast Boost on special attack, I don't want to switch anything in on this thing.
No, it's just now that I look at it, it has a special attack of 151 base.
Yep.
So even getting that boosted,
Uh,
man.
Especially if you even run in choice specs, which already boosted, and then getting a beast boost. Like I said, I already played with Cephalon a couple of leagues. It can destroy teams. It really can. So I think you made a really solid pick there.
I agree with that.
So let's go to the number 14, which is the Raging Reggies. And they took Tapu Koko. So the first Tapu is out. And we only have three Tapus in the league because Tapu Lele is considered to be a little bit overpowered for draft leagues. So the first of the Tapus is out. And Tapu Koko for a draft league team is just really good, I think. It's really speedy. It can get the electric terrain up. It gets Volt Switch and U-turn. So it can provide momentum whenever it wants. Can just ignore those ground types with its U-turn. And yeah, also the fairy type on it. It's just a really solid Pokemon to have. And I really like this pick from the Reggies. Do you agree, Jan?
Yeah, Tapu Koko is scary. Um, the main, the great reason Tapu Koko is chosen by this is it can run a special set as well as a physical set. So that's something you um, need to consider every time you play this team. So that's very hard to prepare for, because if you um, prep for physical Coco and he comes with a special Coco, then you have a problem.
I know I had that in the DBC last season. I don't know if you watched that game against Martin when he replaced Stefan, but he was actually running a wild charge Coco, and I didn't see that coming, so he completely took me off guard, and that's what Jan means. Tapu Koko is just a huge threat, I think. So usually I think in my book Tapu Koko is like a first round pick for sure.
Yeah, that's the main reason he is chosen now. And for an electric type is really fast. If I'm not mistaken, the only electric type that is fast as Tapu Koko is Mega Manectric. So
Yep, Mega Man Network gets 135, so you're right about that. So really solid pick from the Reggies here. And moving on to the number 5 team, which is the Trapping Typhlosions. They actually get an Ultra Beast themselves as well. And they get Celesteela as their first pick. What do you think that Jurgen and his Typhlosions did with this pick?
they just choose to get a wall in the first round. Uh, Celesteela is hard to break through with Leechy, Giga Drain. He keeps healthy at that point with Beast Boost. If you already have a very defensive set with Beast Boost, it's just almost impossible to get down.
I agree. And what's good about Celesteela as well, it can be really defensive, like you said. But if you have an Autotomized set, which you get its speed up at, or like doubles its speed, and just sweep away things, getting that beast boost off on the attack stat or special attack, because it can run special attack as well. It's not that common, but usually physical. But you can run Celesteela both ways, so defensively, offensively. And to get a Pokemon like that in the first round, I think it's a really good pick. And let's see, we got Jurgen's team, so we're going to the next team, which is the Grand Lake Garchomps. And they didn't take Garchomp as their first round pick, but they took another dragon with the same typing. They took Zygarde 50%, which is a really good dragon type Pokemon, I think. It gets Dragon Dance, so it can boost itself up, gets good coverage moves, 1000 arrows being able to hit even the flying type Pokemon on the field, and just smack them down on the ground so that the next move will be super effective. And don't forget extreme speed as well, gets priority. So I think this is a really good pick, and I think you have to agree with me on that one as well, Jan.
I do. I very well do. Um, it's so hard to prepare for this kind of Pokemon, because if you give him the opportunity to set up, game's over.
Yep,
If you
because I don't want to see that. You're right. If that happens, it's insane.
if you don't come prepared with an ice move, then it's just great. Dragon Dance and extreme speed. If he didn't set up his Dragon Dance, and you're almost up, and you think, oh, I outspeed this Pokemon, forget about it, because extreme speed is a thing on this mon.
Yep, so that's a good thing. So good pick from the Garchomps first round, I think. And next up is my team. I actually got a new team this season, new team name. The Harlem Hexerus are here to get the championship, hopefully. And my first round pick is Mew, actually. I was really struggling with what I wanted as a first round pick. Decided to wait to see what other people would choose first. But I decided to go with Mew. Basically, the reason for it is Mew can just do anything I want. Mew can be defensively one week, can be run offensively the other week, can get use out of every single item, like leftovers, I can run with it. Weakness policy, I can run with it. I can scarf it if I want. So having a diverse style Pokemon like that on my team It's just something I really wanted to build my team around. And what do you think, Jan, of Mew as my first pick?
Um, the first thing I thought when I saw Mew is, damn it, because Mew is it's versatile. You don't know what to expect with Mew. Does he come in for using stealth rocks, or is he just volt switching, U-turning? He can do everything because he has access to every TM. So and every, if I'm not mistaken, every move tutor. So
Yep. So yeah, you agree on that. So that's why I wanted Mew. I never used it before as well, but like you said, it can do anything. So having a Pokemon on that just give me a huge advantage to my opponents, because you can prep for Mew obviously knowing that he's a Psychic type, but that's the only thing you can prep for him with Mew, I think. So getting that first round as seventh pick, I'm not complaining. I'm really happy about that one.
it's even yeah, how do you call it? It's even a miracle that it was still there.
I was surprised because normally I think the same with Tapu Koko. I think this should go out in the first five picks because it gives you so many options. You know, you can just like you said, you can do anything with it. Your opponent doesn't know what's gonna happen. But like I said, I'm not complaining that I got it. So we're gonna see how I'm gonna do it with Mew this season. Next
Okay.
up, the Marching Mudkips, and I think this is the second Mega only that went up until now, and it's Mega Garchomp actually. So Jan, what do you think of Mega Garchomp as his choice for his Mega Pokemon?
Yeah, as you can see, the stronger border of is here. Uh, Again, these dragons already picked in the first round. You can see the Dragon Fairy Steel cores are coming. And looking at the stats, it's just amazing. 170 base attack stat, man.
Yeah,
And with, again, a Stealth Rock user, um, getting a Sword Dance off, it's always nice with this type of Pokemon.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mega Garchomp. Sorry to bother or interrupt you, but Mega Garchomp already having that 170 base attack, getting the ability to sword stand set up, it's really, really powerful. And if you don't have anything against a Mega Garchomp, you're gonna struggle for sure. The only downside I think, and I don't know if you agree with me on that one, but like regular Garchomp gets 102 base speed and Mega Garchomp goes down to 92. So I think that's a little bit of a downside on having Mega Garchomp on your team. That's what I think.
Yeah, it is. But if you decide to do full investment, special defense, and hard to break through this
Like
Pokemon.
true, because it still gets 108 HP, 115 defense, and 95 special defense. So you're right. If you invest in that defense as well, I don't think you actually even have to invest in attack all the time because it's just so high already, you know?
Yeah,
So
it's not necessary. If you decide to bring Sword Dance, investment isn't needy.
agreed. So overall, Marching Mudkips, a good pick with Mega Garchomp here. Going on to the next team is the Tremendous Tontins, and they're picking Landorus T as their first Pokemon. So, what do you think about Landorus, Jan?
Landorus, it's one of I use not this form. It's it has speed. It's great in special attack, great in attack. U-turning. It's a defogger, so if you switch in with this Pokemon, Stealth Rock isn't always a problem. So that's nice. And access to hidden power ice. I think this Pokemon is incredible.
Yes, agreed. Landorus T, little bit like Mew, can do anything you want on a team. Like it can be defensively as well, and it can be attack or like an attacker. Whatever you need. It can run Rocky Helmet to be a defensive support Pokemon, or Choice Scarf to outspeed everything, or even set up with Rock Polish to get its speed up as well. So it's a really good Pokemon to have on a first round team. And I think in my book, Landorus T is one of the best Pokemon you can have on a draft league team. That's what I think. So that going on in, I think she was at number 9. is a value pick, I think, to get it as your first pick. So good pick, I think, for the Tremendous Tauntins. Next up, Bohemian Blitzels. This Pokemon, actually, you might know that, Jan, sometimes is banned. But we decided to get Hoopa Unbound unbanned because we just wanted to see it in action. And it goes down in round 10. So what do you think of Hoopa Unbound going in round 10?
I'm not that familiar with Hoopa, but looking at his stats, wow, 160 attack stat, special attack 170, special defense 130, getting access to nasty plot, move coverage. Yeah, just say it. Give him choice specs or whatever, and things can be very nasty.
Yeah, Hoopa Unbound can hit insanely hard. The only downside to it a little bit is its low defense of only 60, which means that very fast Pokemon with U-turn alone, because it's so weak to U-turn, can either kill it already or get it down as low that Hoopa basically isn't a threat anymore. But I think if the Bohemian Blitzels can draft a good team around it, Hoopa Unbound will really do things for this team because, like you said, that attack stat is just insane.
Yeah, and getting access to Wonder Room, even special defense can become his defense. So if you want to switch those kind of things, Wonder Room is a thing.
Yep. So if your opponent, like you said, doesn't expect that, and you switch up that defense, and you're in on a or with a physical attacker, you won't do anything against Hoopa, and it can just wreck you again. And if it doesn't kill you the first turn, Hoopa will just leave you down so crippled that another Pokemon can revenge kill. So it's a really offensive Pokemon for the Bohemian Blitzels to take first round, I think. So moving on, this is the Alakaz Amsterdam, the 11th team. So there's one more team left in this round after this team, and they pick, I think, one of the best megas in the format, Mega Diancie. Mega Diancie being really powerful on all stats, and also getting a huge advantage on the speed compared to regular Diancie, because it goes from 50 to 110. And I mean, those stats, both attack and special attack on 160, so you can run it as a special and physical attacker. And getting the ability Magic Bounce as well. Can just block Stealth Rocks or Toxic or Thunder Wave, whatever you want to do. It doesn't affect Mega Diancie. So what do you think of Mega Diancie as his pick?
Mega DSC is just wonderful. Fairy type, I think in my opinion, one of the better fairy types there is, um, because not many fairy types have those kind of stats for attacking. Um, with his own move, Diamond Storm, which is just nasty. I fought to Mega DNC one time and woo, just if you don't prepare for a Mega DNC, if you don't carry an Iron, then or an Earthquake or something like that, then Mega DNC, just like the rest of the first round picks, just gonna wreck you.
Yep, exactly. So the downside only, you said it already, is its steel type weakness, being 4 times weak to steel, but that's the only weakness and has such good stats that I can play around it. So Mega Diancie, insane Mega. So really good for the Alakaz Amsterdam to get that pick. Last but not least, in the first round, we see another Mega going, and that's Mega Absol. And to inform you guys a little bit of how the draft works, because we didn't discuss that in the beginning, but in the Mega slots, you also have lower tier Megas, like tier 1 up to tier 4, I think. And Mega Absol is valued as a tier 2 type of Mega, which gives you 43 points extra to build with your team, so you can get some extra high Pokemon with his 3 points later on. But even with that, Mega Absol is just a really good Pokemon, I think. Also getting, just like Diancie, the Magic Bounce ability, and still getting 150 base attack and 115 speed. So I think this is a really good value pick. And what do you think to end of the first round, John? What do you think of Mega Absol going at the end?
Mega Absol, it's just Amazing. I used him once. I loved it. The only downside is his defense stats, but if you can work around it with his speed stat, it's nice. And I'm curious to see what he will build around this Pokemon
Yeah, agreed. Mega
personally.
Absol needs support, and the good thing for Mega Absol is that he also gets Sucker Punch. So if there's a Pokemon on the field that threatens him and he can take it down with a Sucker Punch, he can use that even though he might be slower. But I agree with you, and after the round recap, we can see what his second Pokemon will be. But let's look at the round recap first here. These are all the Pokemon that went out in the first round. To be fair, I was gonna ask you what do you think is the best pick overall, but I don't see a single weak pick here. What do you think?
Like you said, there is no good pick because all the Pokemon have different purposes in their team. If you see a Celesteela is a different kind of Pokemon than Zygarde, and even um, Celesteela is the same is bulky and Venusaur as well, but they still have different things to do in their team. So it's hard to tell which one is the best.
Yeah, agreed. What I always like about draft leagues is like the first three rounds, you see like all the good Pokemon go really fast because people always go into either their Mega slots or their Tier 1 slots to grab the best Pokemon they think they need. But I always like to see at the end, when people have to go in the lower tiers, how they actually build their team in total. If they really build their team as a team, or if it's just individual pieces, you know? So that's what I think.
Yeah, personally, I hate the lower tiers because I know what to pick from lower. But
Yeah,
again, it's I'm curious to see what the full teams will be
yeah,
later on.
I agree with you. Getting the lower tiers, there's some value Pokemon in there as well. So you always have to decide for yourself. When am I going into the lower tiers? Do I need it right now? Do I need it in the next round? Will somebody snipe me, like Jan said, because he was sniped at turn one already? But yeah, so we only finished round one, so let's just dive into round two right away. And like we said, the Beedrills get a second turn because we made it in the snake draft. So this time they're up first. And to combine that Mega Absol, they chose Tapu Bulu. So there's only one Tapu left with Tapu Fini. And what do you think of Tapu Bulu going to this team with Mega Absol?
It's a great matchup because Tapu Bulu can pick up the fighting weakness from Mega Absol with his fairy type. Um, it gets recover, it gets a sword dance. With recovery, synthesis, horn leech, grassy surge is also handy. So um, what do we have more here? Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, like you said, it's a really good Pokemon. Good attack stat as well. 130 base attack. And you often see Tapu Bulu also going with like Choice Bandit sometimes. And boosting that attack stat with that grassy terrain. It's just a really good Pokemon. It fits Mega Absol, I think. I agree with you on that one. So he took with his two picks because he has to wait a long turn, obviously, before he gets to pick his third and fourth Pokemon. But his first two picks, I think, are really good. So I'm really excited to see how his team will build around these two Pokemon. Next up, we will see what Mega Diancie will fit. Oh, my bad. But what we see is Mega Garchomp is gone and regular Garchomp is gone as well. We talked about it a little bit already, saying that Garchomp is a little bit faster. So that's why I probably think that Mario and his Alakazam Slam took this pick. We already said it gets Stealth Rocks. It gets a really good attack stat still. If I'm correct, I think Garchomp gets 130 base speed or base attack, I mean. Still getting ability to Sword Dance. Rough Skin is on there as well. So getting that or Dragon Fairy Steel Core here, it's looking really scary. What do you think?
Yeah, Garchomp is I think the number two Dragon Ground Pokemon in the full format. If I had to choose between this one and the Mega, I would still pick the normal one because I like speed in my team.
Yeah, I have to
Uh,
agree with you.
to get if you even choose to get stealth rocks up with Garchomp, then his speed stat is just amazing enough to get the rocks up really fast. And if you think that I'm a little bit scared of ice Pokemon or the grass Pokemon, he has the Fire Fang as well. So for
Yep.
Garchomp, there's almost no weakness.
No, agreed. And the good side to Garchomp as well is if you want to decide to make him even faster. I've never done that myself, but there's always a possibility to even choice Scarf him. I've seen that in videos on YouTube from other people. So if you think you're faster and it hasn't clicked on his move yet and just outspeeds you, it can click Fire Punch, what Jan said. So it's a really good Pokemon to have. And I'm excited to see what Steel type he's gonna fit in here because that's looking like the start of an insane core, I think. Next Pokemon is going to the Bohemian Blitzels, Rotom Wash. What do you think, Jan? Because I think you got sniped on this one as well, if I'm correct.
Yeah, this is the second snipe I got in my face this league. With Road Wash, it's a bulky water Pokemon that, in my opinion, every team needs. Um, with Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, with the ability to use a Will-O-Wisp to cripple down some physical attackers, and with the recovery with Pain Split, it's just an amazing Pokemon.
I agree. And what Rotom Wash also gets, like all the Rotoms, is the Levitate ability. And an electric type Pokemon being able to not be affected by ground type moves is just really good as well. Pain Split is also there to get some health back if he's in a bad situation and cripple down his opponent some more. And it's a really good support Pokemon. As Jan said, bulky water type Pokemon are always welcome on on teams. And for him, I don't think you're the only one that got sniped. Personally, I didn't, but I think there was like 4 or 5 other people with you in the chat going like, "No, no, don't go." So I don't think you were the only one that got sniped, luckily. But it was still a good pick, I think, for him to get it.
No, Rotom Wash, everyone wants him.
So I even wanted it.
Amazing.
Like I said, I didn't want it this league, but I have used it in the past, and it's a really good Pokemon. So he took a good pick with his Hoopa to get some support with it. But let's see what the next team did. The Tremendous Tontins took a Volcanion actually. Talking about bulky water type Pokemon, Volcanion also getting the fire type on there, which is unique, I think. And the good thing is he also gets water absorb, but his defense is 120. His special defense is 90, so it's really bulky there. It can run diverse ways. Obviously, you can just scarf him to get his speed from 70 up to a more threatening situation. But I've also seen him run with like a choice specs variant. So this is a really threatening Pokemon, and getting a fire and water type in one pick as in your team, I think is really good. What do you think?
It's a Pokemon I never used, so I'm not from that kind of familiar with this Pokemon. But looking at his move pool as well, I see Solo Beam. Just think about it, using it as a Z move user with Solar Beam. Even the water Pokemon are scared for this fire type.
Yep, agreed. And it gets even steel type coverage. It gets earthquake on there as well. Even gets defog. So if you don't want to use anyone else as defog, you can even go that way. So Sludge Wave I see is here as well. So it's a really diverse Pokemon and excited to see because I haven't used it as well because it's a very new Pokemon still in draft leagues. So I'm excited to see what Volcanion can do for this team, just like you. So we'll see what else he can do with this. But next up, we go through to the Marching Mudkips, and they pick what I think is a really good Pokemon, Mamoswine. Um, what I think of Mamoswine is a really good stealth rock setter because if you see Mamoswine up against you, you know he's going to be a physical presence. And if you take the risk of thinking that he's just going to do stealth rocks and he hits you with an earthquake or an ice type move, it is really hard. And it gets priority with Ice Shard as well. So late game, it can always get those kills if your team is crippled down. So getting Mamoswine as a tier 2 pick, I think that's a really good pick from the Mudkips. What do you think of Mamoswine, Jan?
I think it really pairs well with Mega Garchomp because his ice type weakness with Mamoswine is just nice. Getting the ability Tick Fat, so ice types can't hurt this one. It just sits there and take all the ice hits he wants. So that's very nice for someone who already has Mega Garchomp.
Yeah, totally agreed on that. You have to think if you see Mamoswine and Garchomp on the team, do you want to click that Ice type move, yes or no? So, really good pick. It's only two picks away, but it's starting to look really good, this team. Next up, we're going back to me, I think, if I'm correct. And I decided to go with my homeboy. I decided to pick Mega Scizor right away. I was thinking of grabbing my Mega Pokemon later. And I had some Megas in mind. Some old Megas I have used in the past, like Mega Lopunny was on my radar as well. Or like new Megas I haven't used, which I'm not going to spoil yet, which might be good for new draft leagues. But me getting Mega Scizor, I just love him. He's really good and versatile, I think, because you can run him offensively with Sword Stance or even Curse if you want to play it that way, boosting his defense as well. And Bug Steel, I think, is one of the best types. Only gets the fire weakness. It's plus 4, or it's times 4 weakness, however, but you can easily play around that, I think. It gets bullet punch with priority. It gets superpower. Gets knock off. I can roost up if I want. I can U-turn away. So I'm really happy to get like my favorite Pokemon on my team. And what do you think of Mega Scizor on this team so far?
On this team, it's amazing because you have made from you are Bug and Dark, and Mega Scissor just sits there and with superpower, as you said, and with um, how do you call it? Just sponge up all those moves Mew don't want
Mm-hmm.
with a priority move with Bullet Punch. So it's just amazing.
Yeah,
Again,
sorry.
this one just pairs well with you.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm really excited to use Mega Scizor again. I've used regular Scizor in the DBC last season, but getting Mega Scizor, there was this opportunity, and I didn't want to risk anybody else taking him. So if I don't want to take the risk, I have to take it myself. So that's why I took him. And we're moving on to the Grand Lake Garchomps, and they're getting Tornadus Tyrion on their team. So it's the first free pick because Tornadus Tyrion is in tier 1 as well. What do you think of the Grand Lake Garchomps getting this Pokemon?
It's a really fast offensive D4. Get him because everything what is in his way. He gets U-turn, knockoff, with a regenerator as an ability. When you switch out, you get health back, so that's not a problem. Um, so just yeah, the only weakness is rock and thunder. So with tornadoes, you can sponge up the hits from the thunder moves. So again, as we see those teams build up, you can see that people think about it and just build some nice teams around it.
Agreed. And I haven't used Tornadus Tyrion myself ever in a league, but like Jan said, with the regenerator ability, it's a really good Pokemon. 121 base speed. If you scarf it, basically pretty much nothing is gonna outspeed it as well. And it's just really good. 100 attack, 110 special attack, so you can run it mixed as well if you want to go that way. So combining that with Zygarde 50%, which obviously takes down the electric type weakness that it has, I think it's a really good pick. And if they do something about the ice weakness, it's going to be a really good team. But this is the makings of a good team, I think. And next up, I have to talk to Jurgen because what he's doing with this pick is really insane. I think combining Mimikyu with Celesteela is just crazy. I've used Mimikyu in the DBC for myself, and what it basically does is either if you're in a bad situation, it can just sponge a hit for you without having to get any damage off, or it can just set up a free Swords Dance. And with the coverage move it has, with the ability of C move as well, It's just a really, really scary Pokemon. What do you think of Mimikyu going to this team, Jan?
Mimikyu is annoying, but the only one with this ability to get freely a setup when at a free switch in is just scary. It can sweep full teams. If he only has a couple of HP left, it still can use Destiny Bond. So it is just diverse. It's scary. A free setup is always nice for your own team, but to play against it is not funny.
Yeah, and that, or like not the downside, but the downside to us because we have to play through it again, obviously. But it even gets priority with Shadow Sneak. So if you think that you got him low, but you're low yourself and you don't have any priority move on it, Mimikyu can just still take you away, Shadow Sneak, and just get the kill either way. So it's a really good Pokemon, and I'm still surprised it went this late because Mimikyu in some leagues is even tier 1. So for me, Mimikyu going out in round 2 and this late in round 2, I think the Trapping Typhlosions did really good. So they already got their Steel type, they got their Fairy type now, and I'm just curious to see what Dragon they're going to throw into this mix. Moving on to the Raging Regis, they also go for their Mega Pokemon, Mega Alakazam. What do you think of Mega Alakazam combined with Tapu Koko?
It's just speed. Speed is the first thing that comes in mind when I see if it's the normal or the mega. It's amazing special attack stat. It's just amazing. I not played much against it, um, but every time I see it, I know I need to outspeed it, what almost is impossible. But or you need to sponge up some really good hits uh, with the moves you can use, like a focus blast, kick, shadow ball, energy ball. If I'm not mistaken. So it's
Let me
really
see.
diverse Pokemon.
Let me see if he gets Energy Ball. He gets Energy Ball as well. Just wanted to check that to be sure as well. But yeah, like you said, basically what you need is a really good Scarf Pokemon against this, and you can know that and just switch out and then deal with that Pokemon later. But it's insane. It's a really good special attack set, as Johan said. Getting the Trace ability as well. So, for example, if you're up with a Pokemon that has the Beast Boost ability, for example, if Mega Alakazam gets a kill, getting a Beast Boost on it as well, or whatever other good option it has. Maybe regenerate, you don't know. So that ability also works really well, I think. So it's a really good Pokemon, I think, to have on your squad. But we'll see how the Regis will do with his team later on. Next up, Jan, you can talk about this one because it's your pick, obviously. You chose Mega Gyarados to combine or to pair up with Blacephalon. So take it away.
The main reason I choose for this one because I fire, water, grass core. I think Mega Gyarados with his water dark typing is great together with Blacephalon with his uh, fire ghost types. It's really diverse. It can be defensive. If you want to get some speed on this Pokemon, you just use a Dragon Dance with a little bit of speed investment and almost outspeed everything. And after a Dragon Dance, nobody wants a waterfall in his face.
Nope, I definitely don't want to be dealing with that. I got really scared when I saw that you were picking Mega Gyarados. Like you said, it pairs really well with Blacephalon. And if you get it in on the right moment, it can either Dragon Dance off right away, or first get off a substitute. If it's really defensively invested, it can take a hit and get two free Dragon Dances up. And from that point on, if you get it on the right moment, it's just GG and you get the win. So your team's looking really good so far. So we're excited to see later on how you're going to combine these two picks. Moving on to the next team, the New Torpedoes. They pick what I think is a really difficult Pokemon to use in draft leagues, Cresselia, and I'll explain to you why I think it's difficult to use. Because it's really not that versatile. You know pretty much what it's gonna do. It's there to deal with calm minds and spread like Thunder Wave or Toxic. And after a few calm minds, heal itself up and then throw some hits out there. But what I think, what I've seen for my personal experience and other people as well, Cresselia either makes your team a winning team, or if you have Cresselia on your team and you can't use it well, it puts your team in a really bad place. What do you think of Cresselia, Jan?
Cresselia is just one of the better psychic walls that there is because the aren't uh, that much of walls. So with Cresselia, it's mostly defensive, light screens, reflect if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Magic code is something you have to think about when you fight against this Pokemon. So toxic and that kind of stuff don't work at this one as well. Um, it's a great switch in to ground moves and just toxic different kind of Pokemon is I think the main reason Cresselia is picked.
Agreed. Levitate ability is really useful. Fits Exeter really well, so he got that going for him. So it's a good start for Cresselia. So this team, I really want to see what they pick to build around these two Pokemon. And to end off the first round is Chansey here going out a tier 2 Pokemon as well. Basically, what Chansey does for a team is he can sponge some hits because Chansey's HP stat is, I think, 250 if I'm correct. And it can wish up your team, Seismic Toss around to deal some pretty reliable damage. Also getting Stealth Rocks, Heal Bell as a support Pokemon. And because it's not fully evolved, he can make use of the Eviolite to get his special defense even higher, and also you can just invest totally in your defense because of that. What else to say about Chansey? Getting Natural Cure as well if you want to play that game. So as a support Pokemon, I think Chansey is a really, really good pick. What do you think?
Chansey is I think one of the best Eviolite Pokemon with in my opinion because it's a very annoying Pokemon if you get rid of all the physical Pokemon in opponent's team and you still have your Chansey Toxic Stall all the way.
Yep, totally agree.
So that's one of the things you
And
always have to keep in mind.
And the good side, I think I have to agree with you as well. It's one of the best Eviolite users because if you knock off the Eviolite, it's not super effective, which some Eviolite users have. So it has that going for him as well. So it's a really good pick around two tier two to get on your team. Looking at this round, Jan, I think I have to say the same thing for round one. Looking at all these picks, I cannot point out a single Pokemon where I have to say that it looks really bad on the squad. What do you think?
As you can see here, you see the difference with round one. In round one, it was power, and this round, you can see that the bulks, the walls are coming out now, just to support the power Pokemon. They were picked in the first round.
Agreed. So, like I said, there's diverse Pokemon. Like you said, a lot of bulky Pokemon. Mimikyu is there as well. So I think, like I said, overall everybody did really well on their teams. But we're starting to see everybody making their course fit in right now. So let's dive in around three right away. And the Quillfish decided not to go for bulk or whatever, but they decided to go with the speedy new electric type Zeraora. And what do you think of Zeraora on this team, Jan?
Zeraora is the fastest electric type there is. It's new for this draft league, so it's you don't know what to expect with this one. Um, it got Volt Absorb, so that's always nice. He has the elemental punches, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he
Fire
does Fire
Punch.
Punch. He gets. Let's see if Ice Punch is there.
I don't see
Don't see
Ice
Ice
Punch,
Punch.
but still a great Volt switcher. If you just lead with this Pokemon, you hurt a lot of Pokemon with a Volt switch.
Agreed. Base 143 speed, as Jan said, fastest Pokemon out there. I remembered in the DBC when I played my first week match, it was against a team with Zeraora as well. And at that point, it was newer than it is right now, actually. And as Jan said, it's new. You don't know what to expect because it can be either on the physical side with 112 attack, or it can also be special with 102 special attack. So it's really difficult to expect what Zero Aura will do. But I think, and I don't know if you agree with me on that one, Jan, but I think you will. The Quillfish really needed the speed of Zero Aura on this team so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Chansey and Venusaur are not going to win the speed ties for you. So getting a speedy Pokemon, electric type Pokemon, always useful for the Volt Switch. So I think it's a good pick for the Quillfish to get that in round 3. And moving on to the New York Nidos, they also decided to go with their Mega Pokemon. And what do you think of Mega Gardevoir on this team, Jan?
Mega Gardevoir, it's amazing. Let me see. Uh, Mega no.
Because I
Mega
think,
Gardevoir with Pixelite is just nice. So hyper is my thing to say about Gardevoir. Um, it gets healing wish. So if you in a narrow corner and you're faster than you give your teammate a full health back. Destiny Bond, Moon Blast is always strong with this Pokemon. The defensive stat is just amazing, and the special attack stat is just high, skyrocketing.
I agree. Mega Gardevoir, however, I don't know if it really fits this team well. We have to figure it out later. Because what I personally always like to do, but that can be just me, is I don't want too many of the same types right away. So him going for and Cresselia and Mega Gardevoir on a team is doubtful in my book. But if I ignore that fact, so let me just not talk about that. Let's just talk about Mega Gardevoir itself. Really good Pokemon. As Jan said, good stats. You can run offensively in just rec teams, or it can be a support Pokemon. And having to think of that when you're prepping against a team, like will I expect Mega Gardevoir offensively or defensively? It will give teams a few headaches here on the road. So in that aspect, I think it's a really good Pokemon to have on this team. And if he doesn't go for too many Psychic or Fairy types after this, I think he should still be good. Right. I'm gonna leave this one up to you, Jon, because this is your team again. You got Thunderous Incarnate, your first free pick Pokemon, and it's up to you. Why did you pick Thunderous Incarnate as your third round pick?
And the main thing I choose this Pokemon is his ability Prankster. I have two Pokemon um, that are weak to Stealth Rocks. Persephone is with his fire type doesn't want Stealth Rocks at all. Mega Gyarados before it becomes Mega Stealth Rocks do a lot of damage. So if I getting a fast Pokemon with Defog, and after that, if that's the case, I can Volt Switch out. It's fast. It's hard hitting. I can run the physical kind of sets. I can run the special kind of sets. So it's for my opponents. I think hard to know what I will bring. And
Agreed.
with
And
this, and not
sorry.
to forget, it's Defiant. So if someone boosts, the attacks are boosted by 2 stages with every stat drop. So again, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think you got a really good Pokemon in here, and I think Prankster is like at least top 5 abilities you can have on draft team. And having a good support Pokemon with your offensive threats right now is a really good choice I think you made here. Thunderous itself being a really good Pokemon as well. Good speed stat, good special attack, good physical attack. So you never know what you will have up against you. And so I think, like I already said, it's a really good Pokemon for your team. And it's starting to look really good. So I'm getting scared of your team already. And moving on to the Reggies, they picked another Rotom as well. This time Rotom Heat going out, being the electric type with the fire type ability, obviously. basically does the same thing that Rotom or Wash does, but I don't know if you think about it the same way, but where I think Rotom Wash is more of a support Pokemon, I think of Rotom Heat a little bit more on the offensive side with Overheat and stuff like that. What do you think about Rotom Heat, Jan?
I just think it's one of the only fire types with a volt switch, so that is always nice switch without a hard switching out.
Agreed.
Um, in my opinion, I think Rotom here is still a defensive kind of Pokemon with Will-O-Wisp and Defog, but again, like you said, it can be offensive, it can be defensive. It's with a Rotom, it's always hard to know what he will bring or what not.
Agreed, and I think every single Rotom, depending on the team, obviously, but every single Pokemon or every single Rotom, I mean, it's just really good for each team. Like I already said, with Rotom Wash, an electric type Pokemon, or in this case, an electric and fire type Pokemon, not being not being weak to ground type moves, that's also a huge plus, I think, because he already has Coco on there, which doesn't appreciate a ground type move. But if you can switch into Rotom Heat when expecting that, it's a really good Pokemon to have. So really overall, good pick from the Reggies here. And I don't even want to talk about this, Jan. I already said I don't know what Jurgen's doing, but I definitely don't know what he's doing right now over here. I think he wants to kill everybody in this league because he picked Current Black as his Dragon type Pokemon. What do you think of this Dragon Fairy Steel Core he has?
I think this is one of the best Dragon Steel Fairy cores you can have in this format because Kyrion Black is it's just power. It's mainly power. It can get a substitute, so just try to break through that. And together with Celesteela and Mimikyu, if Mimikyu can get even a Trick Room off, this team is scary.
Yeah, and he gets a Terravolt ability as well. So that's a really good ability to have. It doesn't even need a Trick Room if you don't want it, because 95 base speed, you could even Scarf it sometimes if you want. So you have to think of that. I haven't even mentioned that attack stat, but it's 170 attack, 125 HP, 100 defense. Um, I really, and like I already said, it depends on what people take later on. But looking at this team already, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be taken on this team right now.
Now, like I said before, this is one of the best cores in my opinion. So just looking forward to see what the rest is he's gonna pick.
Agreed, because that can make or break your team. Next up, we are back to the Grand Lake Garchomps, and they're also working on their Dragon Fairy Steel Core, grabbing the Fairy type Sylveon from Tier 2. Sylveon, I think, is a really useful Pokemon to have on your team. Can be there for Wish support, Heal Bell support as well. But what a lot of people forget is that it also gets Calm Mind boost on it. So if you're ever in a situation where you can just calm mind it up, heal yourself up, this thing can also sweep teams. I've seen that happen, and I'm very curious to see what the Grand Lake Garchomps are going to do with Sylveon. And what do you think of this pick going to the Garchomps?
As I see his team so far, I think mainly this Pokemon is for support. It's a great support. It's yeah, its special defense that is just rocking high, and like you said, can even be offensive. So again, with a wish protect, you can choose between attacking or staying in. So it's with the pixel, and Ian, don't forget the pixelite ability.
Yep, it
So
also gets that, so even gets a boost on that. So it's a really good Pokemon to have. And I'm excited to see what the Garchomps will pick with Sylveon later on. But I'm gonna go to the next team because I think you know it as well. That's gonna be my team. And I decided to go into tier one again as well. And I decided to grab Tapu Fini. The reason why I picked Tapu Fini is because I wanted to work on my fight or my Dragon Fairy Steel Core as well, but also getting a water type on here. But what Fini does for the team, which I really like. It gets up the misty terrain, and what basically means is that for like 4 or 5 turns, it gets the terrain. Make sure that, let's say a Pokemon tries to Skull Burn my Scizor. With that terrain up, that's not gonna happen. So I think Tapu Fini is a really good support Pokemon for the team. Also getting Defog on there, but don't underestimate Fini's potential for on the special side as well. It gets Ice Beam, Moonblast, Nature's Madness, obviously, like all the other Tapus do. Drop your HP to 50% right away. Gets Shadow Ball. So it's a really diverse style Pokemon, really bulky as well. And to pair it up with this team, I really, really love it so far. What do you think of Tapu Fini?
Tapu Fini is stats wise and moves wise my favorite Pokemon to have. Tapu. And together with Mega Scizor and Mew, um, I think he can give a great support to Mega Scizor. Just cripple things down, get rid of the kind of stuff. So Tapu Fini is just amazing.
Agree. So I'm really excited to see what Tapu Fini can do for me, and really excited to see how my team will build on from this. But we will go on to the Marching Mudkips right now, and they're grabbing their Tier 1 Pokemon Clefable right now. Nice fairy type here to have with Mega Garchomp. What do you think of Clefable, Jan?
Clefable, what do we have to say? Clefable is it's just great support. Um, with Clefable, you can use Wish as well. Um, with, with Moonblast, Calm Mind, with his abilities Unaware and um,
Magikarp, I think you mean.
yeah, that you can choose to do you want to get damage from a burn or that kind of stuff or not, or just switch it in with Unaware and setups uh, don't mean anything to this Pokemon.
Exactly, that's what I like about Clefable, because I think it's one of the best fairy types around. Like you said, if you know that your opponent likes to play the toxic game or whatever, you can just put Magikarp on there to prevent that from taking you down. If you know somebody likes to play with setup, you can just have the unaware on it so that the boosts don't even matter. So having that combined with Mamoswine and Magikarp so far, not only a good support Pokemon, but also being able to be offensively sometimes. Yeah, it just fits it really well. So these teams overall, everybody's looking really scary so far. And let's see for the tremendous Tauntins. Talking about scary, Jan, take it away. What do you think about Mega Latias going to this team? Round three, actually.
Mega Latias is just that great defense, great attack stats. What do you need more in a Pokemon? If you need a really fast Pokemon, I think you need one of the Latias types. So with a Calm Mind, it hits really hard. It's hard to get through this one. So the Mega Latias and Latios are just. It's even amazing that it only get picked in round three.
I agree, because for the people that are not that experienced with draft leagues, Mega Latios and Latios are often banned because they're considered to be too powerful to have on a team. And I definitely thought at least one of them would go round one. So I think for the Tremendous Tauntins to get a Mega Latios in round three, like you said, I think it's unbelievable. Really good Mega to have. And I think they're really happy with the Mega Latios. Next up, the Bohemian Blitzels get Ninetales Lola on the team. And what I already said in round one when they picked Hooper Unbound, Hooper Unbound really appreciates good support. And Redmer really got that because what Ninetales Alola really does well, it can put up an Aurora Veil so that attacks won't hurt as much as they used to. I think Aurora Veil is up for 5 turns if I'm not mistaken. And if you get an Aurora Veil up and then switch into either Hoopa Unbound or what he grabs on later, it's a really good support Pokemon to have. And Ice and Fairy, I think, is a really good typing to have. So, what do you think of Ninetales Alola going to this team, Jan?
Alola Ninetales is just great as a supporter and as offense. So I, it's again for a tier three. It's nice to get them this early. With Auroraville is don't forget to use the light clip.
Exactly. You can use that as well, so that can last 8 turns if he really wants to play it that way. So, as you said, getting that as tier 3 Pokemon in round 3. I think he really appreciated the value of the support Pokemon. So, really good pick of the Blitzels. And next up, Alakaz Amsterdam. They're actually not picking the Mega version, but they're picking the regular Gyarados. And since you have a reg or the Mega on your squad, what do you think of the regular Gyarados going to this team?
It's scary as well because its ability Moxie, if he gets rid of one of the Pokemon on your side of the team, its attack stats grow and grow with an already 125 attack stat. It's just skyrocketing and maybe not the best speed stat, but I think with a Dragon Dance set,
Yeah, Gyarados can be really scary on that part. As you said, it can Dragon Dance up, and just as regular Gyarados, it can substitute up first and then Dragon Dance, or Dragon Dance up right away if it has the opportunity. So it's a really, really good threat. Also, besides Moxie getting Intimidate, if it wants to do it that way, so that the physical threats on your opponent's side get a drop on the attack stat, but it's a really good water type to have. So Mario is doing well on that part. And let's finish off round 3 with Umbreon going to the B drills. And I think Umbreon is, for me personally, I think it's one of the best cleric Pokemon to have. Dark type being a good typing on it. The only downside I think to Umbreon is that it's pretty one-sided. It's there to just heal up, be a cleric, maybe spread like Thunder Wave or something, synchronize against as well, so that's useful. But you don't often see it run very offensively, so that's a downside. But like I said, if you need a cleric on your team, I think Umbreon is one of the best. And what do you think of Umbreon going to the Beedrills?
it's just it's a little bit strange because it's second dark type in his team, but again, it's what the coaches want is just to um, get the opponent distracted. Will he bring Umbreon? Will he bring Absol? So it's if you prepare for an Umbreon and make an Absol is screwed. So it's a little bit of a mind game in this team, but getting this great cleric in your team is always nice.
I agree, and that's what a draft league is also about. It's also like getting, in this case, 12 good Pokemon, but you really want to play those mind games with your opponent. Like, if he brings that Pokemon, will that Pokemon come as well? So, do I need like a very good attacker to take Umbreon down, or do I need a defensive Pokemon to deal with Absol? So, you're right about that. I agree that it plays mind games with your opponent, so that's a good thing. And let's just look at this round, Jan. This is the round pick overall from everybody. And what do you think of these picks overall in round 3?
The one that jumps out is Kyrian Black. It's if you see that you get scared, you get sweaty hands, and yeah, together with the rest of his team, I think this is the first time I'm gonna say that Kyrian Black is the best pick of this round.
I agree, because Kieran Black often goes round 1 or round 2. So him getting that as a third round overall is really insane. But don't forget like Megalatios as well, who's also still there in round 3 going out. Zero Aura can be a huge threat, and all these teams are really thinking well, I think, about what they want on their team. So it's really good to see that. And I quickly just want to talk to the chat a little bit because what I see is that there was a question about if this is going to be uploaded on YouTube. And what me and Jan are actually going to do, because this video will be saved, I will give Jan the link as well. So we will both put it on our channels. Jan already mentioned it. It's gamers underscore duo NL, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Jan?
Is that correct? Yes, it's correct.
Okay, just making sure because I wasn't sure about the underscore. So it will be uploaded on his channel this Saturday, and obviously on my channel on YouTube as well. Because we both participated, we thought it would be fair to upload it both on our channels. So for the people, if you have to go away, for example, right now and want to look at it later, that's okay. Thank you very much for showing up right now, and it will be on YouTube for sure. So, and I think let's see if there's another question here. And also, I don't know if you noticed that, Jan, but Galactic Elliot responded to our draft as well.
We
So
did.
I want to give him a shout out as well, thanking him on coming to the stream and giving some advice to it as well. And like I said, thank you for showing up, my man. And it's really great to see you here, and thank you for your comment. So I wanted to tell you that as well, Jan, if, in case you didn't see it yet.
Oh, it feels like a little bit of an honor.
I
It's
agree,
wonderful.
because I think Galactic Elliot is one of the greater YouTubers out there. Watch him as well. So having him on our stream and getting the feedback from him is really good. So thank you for that support. And after that, after we've done this, let's drop into round four right away, Jan. And you can take it away. Talonflame on tier three for the B drills. What do you think of Talonflame going round four?
Talonflame. It's just like some other Pokemon we already have. It's just one-sided, in my opinion. But it's a little bit of diverse with Brave Bird and Flare Blitz. It gets health with Roost. It gets Defog. It gets Swords Dance. But um, it will be an attacking Pokemon for sure. I think.
I agree with you on that one because Talonflame doesn't really have the defense or special defense to take some hits, but with that 126 base speed, it will be able to hit as hard as possible. So it's definitely going to be or an attacker on his end. Um, he needed the speed a little bit because he only had Mega Absol so far, so he has that up for him as well. And the good thing I think for him is Talonflame is not really used that much anymore in draft leagues. So people can think like, well, I haven't seen Talonflame so far or that much, so they could think like, well, I can take that on. But if you just think of it that way, Talonflame can still be scary, as you said. So I really want to see how he works with Talonflame, to be fair. So if he feels good about it, he will put it to go work. So let's see what he can do with it. Next up, we're going back to Mario and his Alakaz Amsterdam, dropping into tier 3, grabbing Sableye. Sableye, the regular Sableye, I think is a really annoying Pokemon to deal with because it gets the Prankster ability. We already talked about that a little bit. Prankster always going first, and it can just pass away whatever he wants. Also, what he can do is recover up. It can be really annoying. His stats don't look that good, but trust me, you don't want to be up one on one with a Sableye if you don't have the presence to take him out. What do you think of Sableye going to this team, Jan? Jan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm back. Something went wrong.
Yeah, I was just looking on Discord where you were saying that something went wrong, but I hear you correctly, so we can move on. I don't know if you heard my part.
I didn't, but I think it's nothing but good about Sableye. It's not a mega, but Sableye with Prankster is just as annoying, and I think his team can use some setup with Will-O-Wisp and that kind of stuff. So
That's basically the same thing I said, with Prankster obviously being on there as well, always going first with those status moves. And so we basically, as you guys could have heard, we agreed on that. Sableye being a really good Pokemon on this team. And I'm going to let you talk about this one, Jan, because I think what this team is doing is also a little bit scary. Volker Rona going to the Blitzels. What do you think?
Volcarona, it's a fast bug Pokemon with the fire typing, so that's always nice to get rid of the fire weakness um, from a bug type. With his speed, he outspeed not everything, but it can do a lot of pain if you can get the quiver dance off. So yeah, that's I think With Quiver Dance, a substitute is mainly the thing to do with Volcarona, but still it can hurt. And if you don't prepare for Volcarona, you can get in the closet and start to cry.
I agree, and what I like about this pick as well, you have Hoopa Unbound on the physical side that can hit really hard. Volcarona after the Quiver Dance on the special side. Combine that with Ninetales, getting up that Aurora Veil. Those Pokemon won't go down easily, and trust me, if you don't have the right defensive Pokemon on the field, your team is going to be chipped down or just completely destroyed. So good pick on his part, and definitely looking forward to see what other scary stuff he will draft on this team. Next up, Serena on tier 3 for the Tauntins, completing their Fire Water Grass core actually, with just 2 Pokemon. Serena, also one of the newer Pokemon, but a really good Pokemon to have on your team, I think. Getting Rapid Spin, so if there's Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, or whatever on the field, it can just Rapid Spin them away. The good thing I also like is it has the ability Queenly Majesty. So if you want to do a priority move against this Pokemon, Tough Luck, that will be blocked. You cannot put that through. So if you're not faster, it will take you down. Good attack stat, good coverage moves as well. So I think this is a really, really good grass type to have on your team. What do you think, Jan?
Um, I just agree. Uh, Even the ability to get knockoff and synthesis, it's also scary, and you never know what he will do. Will he attack or will he heal up? Or will it rapid spin? It's just with a life orb, I think it's with a 120 base attack stat is really scary.
Yeah, you don't want to be playing with Serena, and I've also seen Scarf Serenas. It's a really versatile Pokemon, so having that on your team, really good, really useful. So good pick here. Next up, the Marching Mudkips. What they pick is Metagross for for their tier 3 pick. What do you think of Metagross going to this team?
Solid. Just to say, if you can finish your Dragon Steel Fairy Core with a Metagross, it's just nice. It still has a high attack, um, high defense, so that's always nice. With clear body, your stats can be lowered. So with Bullet Punch and Priority, it's just an amazing Pokemon.
I have to agree with you on this one. Metagross, obviously, Steel types are my favorite type of Pokemon. Metagross definitely standing out there. It's really good. Can take hits, deal out insane damage back. Psychic type on it, really well for like saying headbutt on it, even make flinches possible sometimes. So the Dragon Fairy Steel Core with Clefable, Metagross, and Mega Garchomp is really good. So good job to the Mudkip for completing that core. Next up, my team again, and I decided to finish up my core as well. Obviously, I already dove in tier 1, so that was out of the books. But I decided from tier 2 to grab Hydreigon as my dragon type Pokemon. The reason why is not only because it completes my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, as I said, but it also gets a Dark type on it, which also supports Mew really well, I think. And it has really insane coverage moves on there. It can be Specs, it can be Scarfed. I've even seen defensive variants on it because it gets Roost as well. And it gets Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, U-Turn for momentum as well. So for me to get Hydreigon on this team, I think I'm really gonna love having that on the team. What do you think, Jan?
Hi, Dragon. It's just a really strong Pokemon. With another Levitate Pokemon in your team, ground Pokemon aren't that strong against you, so it's just an amazing Pokemon. The only weakness he has is the only great weakness he has is the Fairy type, but you have Mega Scizor, so that's not any problem for you, I think.
Mm. I don't think fairy types will be a problem because, like you said, I have Scizor on there. Feeney's really bulky as well to deal with those moves if I want to play it that way. So that's also why I was in the position to get Hydreigon, because it's really well supported by my team, I think. And for me, having momentum on my team, I really love having that. So Hydreigon, never used it before. but really looking forward to see what it will do for my team and if I play well with it. But going on to the Grand Lake Garchomps, they got Cobalion from Tier 3 as their fourth Pokemon. Jan, what do you think of Cobalion on this team?
Yeah, it's one of the three Sword Guardians. Fighting Steel type. It's a nice typing as well. A high defense, a reasonable speed with 108 speed. So that's nice. Just Sacred Sword all the way, Iron Head, close combat, just name it. It's just a great Pokemon to finish your core with Sylveon and Zygarde at your back.
Agreed. And what it also gets is it gets justified ability. So, for example, if you want to go for knockoff, if he decides to bring Cobalion in, its attack is raised +1, and it gets even scarier right away without having to do anything by himself. Also because knockoff doesn't do much to him. So it's a really good value Pokemon from Tier 3. Fits really well on the team. So a good pick overall from the Garchomps. And next up, we go to the Trapping Typhlosions again. And what they're deciding to go for right now is Tier 3 Nidoqueen. And I actually love Nidoqueen to have on the squad. The ground and poison type is a really good type to have, I think. It can be run versatile, it can be run defensively if you want it that way, with stealth rocks and being able to deal with some hits. But don't underestimate Nidoqueen on the offensive side as well. It gets Sheer Force and it gets Earth Power, Ice Beam, for example. And if you combine the Sheer Force with a Life Orb, Nidoqueen can be really scary. What do you think of Nidoqueen going to the Typhlosion, John?
It's a great Pokemon to have on his team with a ground poison typing. It's just nice. Um, it can take hits. It can hit hard if necessary. You could say it's the defensive Nidoking.
Agreed, but like I said, it's defensive, offensive, so it gives teams prepping against this team a headbreaker, which Nidoqueen they have to count on. So the Typhlosion are really doing well so far, really loving that team. And next up, we go to the Reggies, and they're grabbing Dugtrio. What do you think of Dugtrio going to the Reggies, Jan?
Dugtrio is just a really amazing fast ground type, um, which I think he doesn't, uh, which I think he needs with Tapu Koko. So it's always nice if you bring Tapu Koko and you have Dugtrio besides. It's always nice. So if I'm not mistaken, um, it's just really fast with a 120 base speed and a 100 attack stat, so that's nice. I'm not sure if Arena Trap is allowed in this league, but if it is allowed, it's really nasty.
I can tell you that it's allowed. So having that option for him with that speed stat is just really good. If there's a Pokemon on the opponent's side which he doesn't want to play with, like for example Scary Electric type, bring Dugtrio in. Your opponent is trapped, and if it's not having U-turn like Coco does, which not all the Electric types get, Dugtrio can just take him out and be a really good Pokemon for the team. So it's really scary and it gives people, like I said a couple of times already, you really have to think about what you're going to bring to this team. So good pick on Reggie's part. And you can take it away for this turn, Jon, because it's back to your team again. And you decided to go with Klefki this round. And why did you pick Klefki?
I picked Klefki because I didn't want to rely on Thunderous to use Defog. And with Klefki, his ability Prankster, I can set up as fast as I want without even invest in some speed. So with a Thunder Wave, spikes, I can set up spikes as much as I want. That's mainly the reason I picked this one, just for setting up and giving Mega Gyarados and Blacephalon the opportunity to sweep the rest of the opponent.
I think Klefki is really scary. It's giving you another prankster option, as you said. So that's a really good thing. Spikes is on there. I've used Klefki myself as well a couple of times, and I really love having Klefki on there. It's a really good support Pokemon. And having that on your team, like you said, you don't have to count on Thunderous all the time for Prankster as well. So it's really good to have it. So overall, if I'm looking at your team right now, it fits really well. So I'm excited to see what you draft around it. But Klefki going to this team, really good in my book. And we go to the Nidos right now. And as we see right now, people are going into tier 3 a little bit right now, getting into the draft. And they're going for the speedy electric type Jolteon. I love Jolteon as an electric type. What I think in the draft format, I really love having speedy electric types on the team. And Jolteon definitely fits that really well. Also getting good coverage moves, really good special attack set with 110 base special attack. Getting full switch on there as well. Get Shadow Ball, for example. So that's a really good thing to have. It can baton pass if it decides to want to bring it that way, dealing with ground types as well. So getting Jolteon out of tier 3, I think is a really good pick. What do you think of Jolteon going to this team?
I think it's just great. Together with Cresselia, I started to understand why he picked Cresselia because if you have Jolteon, they're gonna try to use an Earthquake. You switch into Cresselia, and the Earthquake doesn't do anything. And if you think Cresselia gets a Thunderbolt in his face, you have Volt Absorb Jolteon, so they can switch um, in and out together. So that's a nice combination of the two.
Agreed. So this team also looking really good. Good pick overall. And next up, last off the finish round 4 is tier 3 a Gastrodon going to this team. And what do you think of Gastrodon going to this team?
Again, it's a bulky water type. It's amazing with energy. If I'm not mistaken, it has coverage in grass knot, ice beam, surf. Um, it's just with skull and recover. It's always nice. Giving the opponent some toxics in his face, and after that recover. It's hard to get through Gastrodon. So for tier three, it's a nice pick.
I really love Gastrodon. What I like about this water type is it has ground typing on it. So if you want to go for an electric type move, good luck with that because he will resist that every single day of the week. And he can spread, like you said, toxics or maybe a scald burn. Can recover himself up if he wants to. So it's a really, really good water type Pokemon, especially for tier 3 to have on your squad. And looking at round 4, Jan, a lot of good Pokemon picked. For me personally, if I have to pick the best value pick out of all of them, looking at the teams, I definitely would have to say Full Corona, for example. Definitely fits the Blitzles well. What do you think about this round?
You can see the teams are getting to to get the full teams, and you can see that everything is pairing up really nice, and you start to see the plans of the teams.
Yeah, that's what I like about if we're getting into the round 5 and 6, for example. You really start to see what people want on their teams and to see if they really pair it up with the Pokemon they already have. So it's really good to see a lot of diverse strategies so far on the teams, which I really like. But going back to the Quailfish, let's see who they pick, and they go into their free slot with the Raptor. And I actually love the Raptor, especially looking at that Gastrodon pick, being able to deal with those electric type moves or ice type moves that it doesn't like to deal with. So the Raptor also getting the Intimidate, for example. So if you're bringing a physical attacker, good luck with that. It can intimidate you. Or Reckless, which increases its power of recoil moves by 20%, if I'm correct. And combine that with a base 100 speed stat, getting U-turn. I think it's a really good Pokemon, especially on this team. What do you think?
I think Staraptor is great. It's one of my favorite flying types overall, so that's always nice. Is great speed set, a U-turn ability. Uh, it's just nice. With if you run a choice scarves, it outspeeds almost everything. So you never know what he will bring. Even a choice band is an option.
Agreed.
Uh,
If you don't have the speed stat for it and you can just deal with the bandit, Good luck with taking Staraptor down. So overall, good pick. Next up, there's another bird going actually right away. Maybe a trend is starting, who knows? But the Swallow is going to the Nidos. Also, I think one of the best flying type Pokemon to have on your team. What I like about Swallow is he has a better speed set with 125, so that automatically means he doesn't have to need the Scarf. And he also gets a scrappy ability, so even if you want to bring a ghost type on it when he's rocking Boom Burst, good luck with that. You won't take it very well. If its specs can deal insane amount of damage. So Swallow, I don't like playing against it, but I don't know how you feel about that.
Again, Swallow is one of the Pokemon, flying Pokemon that you need to prepare for um, a physical set as well as a special set. And with the abilities Guts, it powers up his speed, and even Ghost Pokemon aren't a problem for this one.
Agreed. So good overall pick from the Nidos here to get Swallow. And we're back to your team, Jan, and you decided to go with regular Venusaur. Tell us why.
I wanted to round up my fire, grass, water core with Venusaur again with poison um, type as the dual type. It's sludge bombing and energy balling all the way. Um, it has great defensive stats and great special attack stat for tier 3. It can be defensive with lead sheet, synthesis, and toxic. It can be offensive if I'm not mistaken, with curse. So that's the thing. It's just for the opponent not easy to read what I will bring.
I agree. Venusaur also gets Earthquake, for example, which could be really useful. Really good defensively. Can stall out some opponents if you don't have the right coverage moves for it. So completing your court with Venusaur is really good, especially like you said with the Steel type as well. So I really like Venusaur. So good pick from you over there. And Reggie's taking the mascot pick over here. They decided to go with tier 4 Regirock. And I really like Regirock on their team. The reason why I like it is because Regirock is really, really bulky. 200 defense and I think 100 special defense, if I'm correct. Also getting the clear body, so you won't be able to lower his stats. It can just tank hits, deal hits as well. So it's a really good Pokemon to have. What do you think of Reggie grabbing one of his mascots?
It gets some balls here if you pick Regirock this soon with all the great Pokemon that are still left. But I can get why he wants to use it with these amazing defensive stats.
Agreed, and that's what we talked about in the beginning. You have to think, especially with the lower tiers. And we decided this league to go with two tier 4 Pokemon. And in this moment in the rounds, you have to decide: am I going for my free picks first? Do I go into the free slot or into the tier 4s right away? So we're going to see some interesting choices by the coaches right now. But like you said, with those defensive stats, I totally agree why he grabs Regirock. So let's see how he builds around that. But for now, we're going to Jurgen again. And if he didn't already have enough bulk already, he also decides to throw Tangrowth in the mix. What do you think of Tangrowth, Jan?
Tangrowth is one of the bulkiest grass Pokemon there is with Regenerator as an ability. It's just amazing with Kick and Drain as a recovery knockoff together with an Assault Vest. It's just a scary tank.
I have nothing else to say about it. Regenerator is insane on this thing. Gets knockoff as well, so it can just pull items away. And if you've done damage and you think, yes, I'm almost crippled it down and taking it out, it can just switch out and come back later and be back almost at full. So Tangrowth combined with this team. Jurgen definitely knows what he's doing, so it's really scary so far, and I don't want to look forward to what he's going to grab later on. So I'm just gonna move on to the Grand Lake Garchomps, and they're grabbing Incineroar. Incineroar being more useful right now, I think, because it gets the Intimidate ability, which it before when it was released it didn't have. So that makes him really useful. And his fire dark type fits the team really well for Stefan in the Guardians, I think. And what I like about Incineroar personally is it can deal and intimidate and either stay in with a flare blitz or whatever he wants to do, or give you slow U-turn momentum just to deal with your opponent that way. What do you think of the Guardians picking Incineroar?
I think one of the things that most people forget is that he get flame charge. If he can get a free flame charge, it can outspeed with a little bit of investment. Some Pokemon you normally can outspeed and then hit hard with a Darkest Lariat or an Earthquake or Flare Blitz. It's just an amazing, scary Pokemon.
Agreed. A lot of people don't think about that. So if you don't think about that, and he gets that flame charge off, as Jan said, really scary to deal with. So good pick overall as his fire type to have here. And after seeing Stefan and the Guardians getting their fire type, I couldn't stay behind, and I also decided to go for my fire type, and I decided to go for Chandelure. And Chandler for me was, in my book, the best fire type I could pick for my team. It gets the ghost type, so it fits very well with Mew and Hydreigon, I think. And that special attack stat, let me check, but I think it's 145 base. So yeah, it's 145 base. So that's really insane. I can sub up and calm mine and just deal damage. And what I also like about Chandelier is it gets the infiltrator ability. So if you have a disguise up with Mimikyu, for example, or a sub up, if I'm rocking infiltrator, I will just pass through that sub right away and get insane amount of damage off. So Chandelier, I'm really happy to have. What do you think of Chandelier yourself, Jan?
Chandler, Mega Sizzle, it just spawns up with Flash Fire. The fire type moves for Scizor, and Tapu Fini does for Chandler. So it's a great draft these three in your team.
Thank you, thank you. So I'm really excited to see how my team progresses from this. And next up, we're going to the Marching Mudkips, and they decided to go for another Psychic type, but this time combined with a Fairy type. So I think it's a little bit debatable why they picked that. But what do you think about Gardevoir going to this team?
Yeah, like you said, it's not a fairy type. It's not a psychic type. So it it's just again mind games. Playing mind games in these drafts is very important to do. So it's if you take if you need to think about if he brings Gardevoir or Clefable, or he even chooses to leave Metagross at home. It's just mind games with this one.
Agreed. The downside, however, we haven't talked about the downsides yet. You could forget, let's say, Clefable to not bring Clefable, but it doesn't matter if he's bringing Clefable or Gardevoir. Both don't appreciate an Iron or a Steel type move, and same goes for Metagross and Gardevoir. They don't appreciate Dark type moves either. So even though you play mind games, you have to really think about that because your opponent knows are the like for example, if I were prep against this team, I would be looking like, okay, Clefable or Gardevoir, maybe one of them is coming, but I need a Steel type move. So you have to play mind games with your opponent, but you also have to play mind games with yourself to not forget about what you're doing. So it's tricky, but if the Mudkips pull it off, it's a really good team that they're having so far. And next up, I think this is one of the most annoying Pokemon to deal with, especially for a tier 3 Pokemon. It's a really good value pick. Muk Alola going to the Tontins. What makes Muk so annoying in my book is he gets a Gluttony ability, so you can use berries a little bit earlier than normally, but combine that with Recycle. So you can just get the berry back. You can stay in there for a very long time. He can spread toxics if he wants. It's really good with Fire Punch as well if you don't see that coming. So I think Mach Alola is a very good pick for this team. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, I think if you look only at this typing, the psychic types and this only this is ground for a poison type. That's always nice, and for a dark type to not have the fairy um, weakness is just nice.
Agreed. So normally what you said, if you want to bring a fairy type on a dark type, it's fine. But Mach will just take that hit and just kill the fairy type straight away by himself. So really good pick here. And moving on, I think this is another good pick as well. Gligar going to the Blitzels. What do you think about Gligar?
Gligar, it looks like a small guy, but it's really bulky with and your life together. It's just amazing. It's a stellar user. It can use defog. It can use roost. It has a U-turn. What doesn't this Pokemon do?
The only downside I think to Gligar is its 4 times weakness to ice. And it also needs the EV Light to be bulky, so it doesn't have the parry option to deal with those I-type moves. But looking at his team, he has a Rotom Wash on there. He has an Alolan Ninetales, so he can just deal with that. But other than that, like you said, Gligar is a really good Pokemon to have because it can do anything. So really good pick for the Blitzels here, I feel, in round 5. And looking at the Alakazam Amsterdam, they decided to finish off their Dragon Fairy Steel Core as well. And going with Kartana. Kartana obviously being Steel and Grass, but it has a really high physical attack stat. Combine that with Speed or Beast Boost, 181 base attack. If you wanted Scarf maybe, or even Bandit if you really wanted, or Life Orb. Cortana, if you don't have a physical defense for it, it's gonna be a real problem to your team. What do you think about Cortana?
Katana. If you even decide to use it as a user, it can hurt a lot of things. Probably with almost every Z movie, one it kills everything. Just
I
so amazing attacks that.
I think he does, and what we both even didn't say yet, but he also gets Sword Dance. So if you're having Cortana on the field and you cannot take him down, if you can put his insane attack set to +2, even if you are a good physical defensive Pokemon, with the coverage move that he has, you don't want to be taking on Cortana. So I'm very interested to see how this team will play with Cortana. But to round off round 5, you can take it away on Steelix from tier 5. I think it's actually the first tier 5 Pokemon going right now. But what do you think about Steelix going to this team?
I think Steelix is one of the best tier 5 there is. It's a steel type, it's a ground type. It can set up some rocks, um, uh, some heavy slams here and there, just curse if you need it. Um, but it it has 4 weaknesses, but still with an amazing defense stat of 200, it's just amazing. It's
Agreed, and even if you have a special attacker on the field, it has a sturdy ability, so it will guarantee either put Stealth Rocks on the field or deal with attack if he wants. So that's a really good ability to have as well. So it's a really good value pick, and because he has a wheel pick, he has to wait a long time before he's up again. So I can understand why he decided to go with Steelix here. Looking at round 5, looking at all these Pokemon, what do you think is the best value pick for the teams?
I think looking overall, I think Swallow because of his 2 abilities with Scrappy and Guts, and to think about if he wants to get special or physical. Is I think is one of the hardest Pokemon in this round.
Agreed. I definitely don't like playing against Swallow, as I already said, so I agree with you on that one. And I definitely like Muk as well on the team. Really annoying Pokemon, deal with good typing, so really good Pokemon. But all the teams looking really good so far. Everybody, as I said, has their different strategies, so it's good to see what they are bringing. And let's go to round 6 to see how the teams will look at the halfway mark. And the Beedrills are going for Raichu Alola. I think Raichu is a good Pokemon to have. Electric Psychic, good speed on there. Good C move user, I think, to have as well, because he gets good coverage moves. Other than that, he gets good coverage, like I already said. Also getting Volt Switch, really speedy with Choice Scarf option as well. Nasty Plot is there. So I think Raichu for tier 4 is definitely a good value pick. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great Pokemon. It's the only downside of on this Pokemon is his knockoff weakness.
Yeah, I
So
agree. So if it does want to take a knockoff, especially with those defensive stats, Um, 50 base defense, knock off with a good Pokemon kills him. But with that speed, he can play around with that. So it's exciting to see what the beat will do with this. And you can talk about the next one, Jan. The Alakazam Dam decided to go with Tier 3 Darmanitan.
Dominican is just for tier 3. It's one of the hardest hitting fire types there were on the moment, with a 140 base attack stat. It's and not that low of a speed tier, with 95 speed stat. It's just a really amazing Pokemon. It got really good cover with Flare Blitz, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and it even gets a U-turn. So it's just a really nice Pokemon.
Yeah, I love Darmanitan. As you know, I had it in DBC Season 3. I think it got the most kills for my team in that season, so I was actually thinking about getting him this season, but I decided to go for Chandelure. So him getting Darmanitan, really good Pokemon, nothing bad to say about it. Really scary, so good pick from him. Next up, the Blitzels are going for the flinches here, I think. They're grabbing Tier 1 Jirachi as their free pick. Jirachi is a really good Pokemon, I think. Base 100 across the board, with the Serene Grace ability, being able to deal a lot of flinches if it wants to. Good typing as well. Gets Wish, so it's a really scary Pokemon. What do you think of Jirachi, Jan?
Uh, just flinch is the word we have to use with Jirachi. It can be bulky, it can be fast, it can be hard hitting. Just U turns out before anything hits it. Um, it's just a really nice typing as well with Psychic Steel. Um, it's just almost nothing bad to say about it.
I agree. Nothing bad to say about Yachi as well. So really good Pokemon for the Blitzels, and excited to see what they will pick next. But first off, we go back to the Tauntins, and they pick Miss Magius from Tier 4. And what do you think about this pick for this team, Jan?
I like Miss Magius. I used it in C3. Um, it's got a great speed stat, great special attack stat, with the opportunity to use Nasty Plot and get his special attack stat even higher. Um, in my opinion, it's for the tier 4 is one of the best Z move users there is.
I have to agree with you on that one. And what I like about Miss Magius as well as a Ghost type, it's really speedy, gets 105 base speed, also 105 special attack. Being able to get a nasty plot off sometimes is just really scary. Also getting Dazzling Gleam as a coverage move, really good Pokemon to have. So I'm excited to see what the Tremendous Tauntins will do with this Pokemon. And about this pick, Jan, I don't know about you, but I'm actually excited to see this one in action because in the leagues that I've been, I've never seen Wishy Washy in action. So that's a good thing for him because I don't think a lot of opponents know what Wishy Washy can do. Um, its base stats when it's in schooling form are insane. 140 attack, 130 defense, 140 special attack, and 135 special defense. So if this thing manages to get off a hit, it can hit like a truck. What do you think about Wishy Washy, not only on this team but joining this draft?
I'm just surprised to see this Pokemon coming, because it doesn't have the ability to heal up. Um, so that's a little bit strange to see here. But like you said, in its school form, it just has amazing stats.
And what he also can do, if he can get a good trick room user, because his speed is like really low. But if you can get a trick room up, having this Pokemon on the field in that case, Gardevoir for example gets it. If he wants to go that way, it can be really scary. It doesn't have to heal up, but it can just hit insanely hard. So I'm excited to see if he wants to play that game, and I hope he does one time, just not against me. But we'll see if he does. But looking at my team again, I'm back here, and I decided to go with Tier 4 Mudsdale, and you're familiar with it as well because you had it on the league as well. But I think a good draft team needs a good ground type Pokemon, And Mudseal's there for me. Stamina ability, if you hit it with a physical move, it gets a +1 boost. But the coverage moves and options that Mudseal have are insane. Gets, I think, if I'm correct, it gets Rock Slide, Heavy Slam, and Earthquake if I name a few moves. Close combat, it can Toxic Stall if he wants to play that game. I can get an Assault Vest on it if I want. So I think grabbing Mudsteel from tier 4 for me is really a good pick that I really appreciate. What do you think about Mudsteel, Jan?
I think it's just one of the uh, greatest ground tanks there is, or tanks, I mean walls. So with an assault vest, his speed's getting even higher. And in my opinion, Mudsdale doesn't need a status move. So just give him assault vest or a choice band or whatever, and just hit things like a truck with earthquake or close combat.
Agree, because it still gets 125 base attack, and even if you don't ban it, it is really hard. So I'm excited to use Mudsteel this season. But going forward, we're going to the Grand Lake Garchomps now, and they picking Among Us. And what do you think about Among Us, Jan, as their round 6 pick?
It was on my list besides Venusaur, but um, like I'm one of the Gen 1 players, my heart always goes to Venusaur and the ability to have Earthquake that Amoonguss doesn't have. I picked Venusaur, but Amoonguss is the better one of the two with the Regenerator ability and Spore. It's just a really ugly Pokemon to fight against.
Yep, it's a really annoying Pokemon. Like you said, Spore being annoying, Regenerators on there. I don't like playing Among Us, I can tell you that. And if he plays against me, I know he's watching, but if he plays against me, don't bring this thing, please, and we'll still be friends. So thank you for that. Moving on, the Trapping Typhlosions pick Lantern as their tier 4 Pokemon. And Lantern is, in my book, a really good value pick for a tier 4 Pokemon. It gets two really good abilities, I think, with Water Absorb and Volt Absorb. So when we're talking about mind games, like we've done a couple of times, Lantern's definitely there. Because will we have the Volt Absorb? Will we have the Water Absorb? You don't know if you don't try. Jurgen can use it to a disadvantage, and he can either assault vest it up, he can even choice specs it up if he wants, or just be annoying with leftovers. So I think for tier 4 Pokemon, Lantern is really solid. What do you think?
I think it's an amazing typing. Rotom Wash. It has the same typing and not the same build, but still it's a great Pokemon. It has Volt Switch and Heal Bell. I think those two moves are great to have on his team to heal up, to get rid of the Will-O-Wisps, the Burns, and the Toxics in his team, and just get back with Kyurem Black or something like that, and just hit back again.
Agreed. So really good pick on his part. Diverse options. So moving on, we're going back to the Raging Reggies and talking about a support Pokemon here. Alo Momola going to the Raging Reggies. What do you think about Alo Momola? If I said that correctly the last time.
Aloma Mola, I don't know this Pokemon very well, but if I see here, he has a base stat HP of 165 and Regenerator as an ability. It's amazing.
Yeah, combine that with a wish support. If this thing patches on wishes, it's one of the best wish supporters. Or it can heal itself up with wish and protect and just toxic stall you. I can tell you, I've had it in the league. It's a really good support Pokemon. Really love using it, and it fits the team well. So I like to see what Reggie plans to do with it. But we're going back to you, Jan. Your next round pick is Tier 3 Uxie, so take it away.
Um, what I wanted is a Psychic type, um, and I looked into the tiers and I saw that Uxie was left um, with his amazing defensive stats and levitate ability is just nice to use in the rest of my team. With the ability to use U-turn and stealth rock, um, I love it. I used it before and it helped me a lot with a lot of battles.
I can only agree with you on that one. I've had Uxie as well. Um, 130 base defense and special defense both are really good because it can tank hits even if they're super effective. And especially if you look at your Blacephalon and Klefki, it's really good to have left-day Pokemon on there that really appreciate those ground type moves. So for a Psychic type Pokemon, you were looking at getting Uxie is a really good choice, I think, for your team. So really good choice. Looking at the new Torpedoes, they're picking a really scary Pokemon, I feel. They're picking Tier 1 Terrakion. What I've noticed is Terrakion doesn't get picked a lot of times lately in draft leagues, but don't even think for a second that Terrakion cannot do any work. Really powerful Pokemon, 129 base attack. Fighting and rock type, justified ability as well. Good coverage moves. For example, close combat, Stone Age, Earthquake, even gets quick attack, so if he wants to get the priority, he can go that way. Really a powerful Pokemon to have. What do you think?
Uh, like you said, I don't see Terrakion a lot in draft leagues, but so looking at the stats, I see to understand why you picked this one.
Agreed. 1.8 base speed, still looking good. You can even scarf it if you want. I've seen people do that. So really good physical presence to have. And to end off round six, which means we're halfway now, we can look at the Heart District Quillfish with their Palossand and as their tier 4 Pokemon. What do you think of Palossand, John?
Palossand is yeah, don't have much to say about him because I never really used it or even see it, but with his ground and ghost typing as a ground type with water compaction, it's really nice to have on your team.
Agreed. And getting Stealth Fox on the team is also really good because he only has Chansey for that. But also getting Shore Up, which heals him up if he wants to and is able to. Always good to have options to heal yourself up. So really good value pick here. Looking at tier 4, a lot of good picks I feel here. One that stands out for me if I have to look at it, definitely for me, Jirachi going round 6.
Yeah, again, it's amazing to see this great Pokemon see this late in the draft. You see it often in round two, round three, even round one sometimes. But that this Pokemon is still around, it was a great choice of the Blitzers to choose him right now.
Agreed, and that's what I like about a 12-person draft league. There's a lot of good Pokemon being used, and a lot of good Pokemon that still are available late draft. So that's why Irachi was still there, and good choice to Blitzels. I agree to get him. Let's get to round 7 right away. And really bulky Pokemon going here. The Quillfish deciding to stay in tier 4 and grabbing the Dark and Dragon Guzzlord. For you people that don't know Guzzlord, 223 base HP. Really bulky. Not good defense and special defense, but thanks to HP, it can tank some hits. It also has Beast Boost, so if it gets a kill, it's really powerful and difficult to take down. But the downside is its speed. What do you think about Guzzlord?
Guslord is just, I think, one of the better, what do you call it, Ultra Beasts, in my opinion, because I like them bulky, I like them hard hitting. I think with Guslord you have a kind of Pokemon like that.
Agreed. It takes hits, at least one hit. If you prep it well, it can take two hits, insane amount of damage. So really good pick for tier 4. And next up, the new Neos getting their poison type with Dragalge. And what do you think of Dragalge going to this team?
It gets nice typing with Poison Dragons, weak to Fairy anymore, so that's a great choice of him with a special defense of 123. It's nice. Um, uh, it gets Toxic Spikes, Scald. With adaptability ability, it steps, moves, doubles, so it's an amazing Pokemon.
I have to agree with you on that one. Gets good coverage move with Focus Blast even on there if he wants to go with that. And a Dragon type that doesn't take hits from a Fairy type move or can deal with them at least is always welcome on the team. So really good pick from his part. And speaking about good picks, you decided to go into tier 5 yourself, actually, right away in round 7. And you grabbed Piloswine.
Yeah, I choose to skip tier 4 because as two drafts I was in, all the great tier 5 Pokemon were sniped, and I was looking for a ground type. I didn't see one that fits in my team in tier 4, so I grabbed Piloswine out of tier 5.
And personally, I think it's a really good pick for you. It gets the thick fat ability, and so it's really good. It's basically a baby Mamoswine, I think you can put it that way with the Eviolite. And doing everything Mamo does with Stealth Rocks, still Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, Earthquake, really bulky Pokemon. So for you to go that way, dive into Tier 5 right now, really good choice because I think the Tier 5 Pokemon will go really fast, really soon. And you can see right here, I was talking about that. Right now, Avalok also going from Tier 5. What I like about Avalok is it's a really bulky Pokemon and it gets sturdy ability, but what people don't know about it is it gets 184 base defense. So it's really difficult to take down. It can recover himself up. It can toxic people, but also it gets rapid spin to get those stealth rocks or whatever off the field. So also here a really good tier 5 pick, I think. What do you think, Jan?
Uh, it's just an amazing Pokemon. If you need a bulky ice type, get Avalok and Rapid Spin all the stealth rocks away for his team. Um, because if I'm not mistaken, Coco and Heat don't want that. So if you need a bulky Rapid Spinner, you got Avalok in tier 5, and it's nice.
Agreed. So, moving on to the Typhlosions. Speaking of annoying Pokemon, tier 4 Shuckle going to this team. What do you think about Shuckle going round 7?
Ooh, the special defense and defense stats 230 both. The rest of the stats are trash, but with his access to sticky web, stealth rocks, and if your opponent sets up a move that isn't effective against Shuckle, he can get an encore off. Knockoff Toxic Investigation is a really annoying Pokemon.
Yep, I really was surprised that it was round 7 that he went. But Shuckle is a really good Pokemon, as you said, for sticky webs or stealth rocks or just putting the Encore off. So it's really annoying. Usually goes as a lead Pokemon because it can take hits really well and just be annoying from the start off. So I'm excited to see what Jurgen will do with this Pokemon. But going to the Garchomps again, we see Tier 4 Kova going. And I think that's a really good ghost type, in my opinion, especially for a tier 4 ghost type. Because what I like about Cofagrigus is it gets the mummy ability. So if somebody hits him, let's say, for example, Megalopunny, it gets the mummy ability. So Scrappy is gone. But combine it with 145 base defense, 105 special defense, trick room options on that Pokemon. It's really difficult to deal with. What do you think about Cofagrigus, Jan?
Talking about triggering, consider that one with its in Sylveon.
Yep. Amoongus
He,
as well.
it's just a great choice to get this one in his team.
Agree, especially for tier 4, really good value pick. Um, Definitely moving on to my team right away. I decided to follow your example and go into tier 5 myself because I was noticing that the tier 5 Pokemon were that I really wanted to use. There weren't a lot. Spoilers, I have one late round which I will grab as well. But I decided to go with this one. Girder is my tier 5 of choice. I just love Girder. It's a really bulky Eviolite user. It gets bulk up as well. The abilities are amazing with Guts, Iron Fist, and Sheer Force. Gets knock off, drain points to heal myself back up. I get priority with Mag Punch as well. Facade, name it. Basically every good fighting type move that I need, I got on there. So for me getting Girder, I really need to grab this round. What do you think about Girder yourself?
It's just a mini Conkeldurr, like you said, with if you
Uh,
The only thing is as it light gets off. I think you're a little bit in a problem, but still, it can take some physical hits without EVU light. So if you even without EVU light, it can hurt.
Agreed. So really happy to have Burr on my team. And moving on to the Mudkips again, they decided to grab tier 4 Aggron. What do you think of Aggron on this team?
I don't know what to think about this one because yeah, it has great stats for a defensive Pokemon with a sturdy ability is always nice, and the Rock Head to lose, um, if I'm not mistaken, the recoil damage from some moves.
Correct.
But I never see this one really excellate in a battle. But looking at his team, I think Aggron is a nice steel type to add on his team.
Agreed. Downside again, what I think of the Mudkips right now, getting another steel type when already having Metagross as well. Like we already said, mind games are good, but he's getting a lot of dual types already. But Aggron does provide stealth rocks as well, toxic support. So if he wants to go that way with a steel type Pokemon, it's really good. So I like to see what he pulls off with this team. Moving forward to the Tauntins, they're picking tier 5 as well. Going for Zebstrika, which in my opinion is one of the good tier 5 Pokemon. Getting some good abilities with Lightning Rod, Motor Drive, and Sap Zipper. So you really have to think about what you will bring into the Zebstrika if you're playing against it. 116 base speed, so you can Scarf it, you can Life Orbit, it gets Volt Switch. Really good Z move user in my opinion as well. So grabbing tier 5, the Zeb Striker, really good value pick for the Townsends, I feel. What do you think?
In my opinion, is the Sepstriker doesn't belong. Or I used it before, and it's fast. It's hard hitting, volt switch, you name it. It's just it even get coverage for grass types, so that's nice. Yeah, I don't know what to say more. It's just an amazing Pokemon.
Great. I've used it myself, really useful. So it will be useful for this team as well. Going back to the Blitzels, they decided to grab their Dragon Pokemon as well. And they're going with Tyrantrum actually. What do you think of Tyrantrum, Jan?
Tyrantrum to close your core with a dragon type like this. It's not seen much, but looking at this move pool and that kind of stuff, it can be interesting to use this one. Um, 119 base defense and 121 base attack. It can do some crazy shit.
Exactly, especially with Strong Jaws' ability, or Rocket, whatever he decides to go for. But if he gets an Aurora Veil up, get Tyrantrum on the field, Choice Bandit, it's really scary. So I've never seen Tyrantrum that much in draft leagues, so I'm excited to see what the Blitzels will do with Tyrantrum. Next up, one of my favorite Pokemon to have on the team is Scrafty. Really good typing he has on there. Also having a big fairy weakness, but Scrafty with Intimidate or Moxie or Shed Skin having three good abilities, two good defensive stats with 115 both defense and special defense, getting bulk up, drain punch, even dragon dance if he wants to. So it's a really good Pokemon I feel to have on the team. What do you think about Scrafty yourself, Jan?
Again, like you can do, uh, it's really hard to prep for it. It's an again for tier four. It has amazing defensive stats, but if you get prep for this one, it's if you don't get prep for this one, it's hard to get through this. So the only downside is this fairy weakness.
Agreed. So, but other than that, really good Pokemon. And to finish on round 7, the Beedrills actually grabbed a really good value pick here, I feel, in round 7. Suicune going to their team. What do you think of Suicune going in round 7?
That Suicune is picked this late. It's kind of surprising for me. It's a very bulky water Pokemon. Like I said before, every each one that this thing is still around is it's yeah, it's just amazing for me that it still was not big before.
I have to agree with you on that one because Suicune is a really good Pokemon to have. If it can set up Calm Minds and maybe even a sub, it can deal an insane amount of damage, maybe even get a Scald Burn, gets rest, so it's a really good Pokemon, especially tier 7 to grab. And looking at the round recap, fitting all these Pokemon in here, lot of different ways people are going. So you're definitely seeing people going for their personal ways in what they want. And for me, if I would have to pick one Pokemon that stands out, it's Kofagrigus. Not looking at my own team, but Kofagrigus with that ability and that defense, I think that's a really good pick. What do you think?
Um, I just agreed with that. It's you can see that the better lower tiers are being picked right now, and even Suicune that outstands the rest of the picks being picked this late. It's just nice to see that every team has another strategy in its mind.
Agreed. So we're pretty much coming to the end. We're going in round 8, which means the teams will be done for 75%. And what we see here on the B drills, they're grabbing their last tier 4 pick before going into 3 points. They're grabbing Lurantis. What do you think of Lurantis?
If you played the Sun and Moon games, you know what kind of strategies Luentus can use. Get a sunny day on, and Leaf Blade will do the rest for you. Um, it gets synthesis, so it can heal up with its ability contrary, and the combination with Leaf Storm is just amazing.
Agreed. Even superpower is there. I've had Lurantis in a league myself, and I remember taking it to the first week match, and it got 4 kills right away, just because my opponent didn't prep for it. So Lurantis is really a Pokemon not to think too easy about. So good pick for a grass type on this team, I feel. Even though having Bulu already, but it can fit on that grassy terrain, I feel. This pick for me a little bit surprising because we don't see that a lot in draft leagues either. But Golisopod going round 8 to the Alex Amsterdam. First thing I always think about with Golisopod is its first impression, getting priority, dealing hard on that side. It gets good attack stat to be fair, with 125 attack and 140 defense is also pretty good. I just don't like the emergency exit ability where you have to switch out. But how do you feel about that?
Well, I agree with that, but to have the ability Aqua Jet with these stats um, is always nice to have a slow Pokemon getting priority and getting held back with leech lives, even getting set up spikes. I I get why he picked this one.
I can see that as well. I'm definitely excited to see if he will use it and how he will use it. Like I said, we don't see it a lot, so I always like picks that you don't see a lot, and people surprise me with that. So I hope to see some very good action from Callispod. Moving up to the Bohemian Blitzels, picking a really bulky Wish Pokemon in Licky Licky. What do you feel about Licky Licky, Jan?
It's just a wall. Yeah. I don't know much about this Pokemon again. Played not for that long of draft leagues, but um, as I see his stats, is just in my opinion, bulking support. You should say it's slow, but I with these stats, return and knockoff can do some damage.
Agreed. And what I like, we haven't seen that really. We haven't seen a weather team, but it gets Cloud9 as well, which negates the weather effects on the field. Also, really like that about Licky Licky. And otherwise, like you said, really bulky Pokemon. So it's a really good Pokemon to have for the Blitzels with Wish support. Wish support is always welcome, I feel. So having Yubachi and Licky Licky for that role, I think is really good for him. Next up, we're going to the Tauntins, and if you're looking at bulk in tier 4, I think Registeel fits that description perfectly. Really good, only steel type, so really good there. 150 defense and 150 special defense with a clear body, so you cannot drop his stats. Gets toxic, gets stealth rocks, gets bulldoze, seismic toss deal considerable amount of damage, explosion, stuff like that. Really bulky support Pokemon to have, I feel. What do you think about Registeel yourself?
I played against Reggie Steel one time, and he just shuts you down. Uh, I got my Mew. I got a little bit cocky, and I Steel is easy, but not even with a great set from you, you won't get through this one.
Agreed. If somebody really preps well with a Registeel, best of luck taking that Pokemon down. So good pick. Seeing that tier 4 Pokemons were going already a lot, good pick to still get that Registeel. Next up, a surprising pick again, I think, because I haven't seen this Pokemon ever in a draft league, in my opinion. But Shedinja going. Shedinja, obviously known for his Wonder Guard ability, so only certain type of moves will harm him. But the downside to that is only has 1 HP, so it relies heavily on Focus Sash, because if there's rocks on the field, and you don't have a focus dash, you're just out of there. But it gets a lot of priority with extreme speed and ice shot, for example. It even gets U-turn, so that's really good to see. But what do you think of Shedinja being in this draft league and on this team?
It's just funny to see him here in a draft league. That's one thing to say. The other thing to say about Zidane, if you pick this one, you have a strategy, and I'm very curious to see what he will do with this one.
Agreed. You don't pick Shedinja without a reason, that's right. So just like you, looking forward to that one. But moving on, I'll talk about this pick here. For me, I was looking into tier 3 what I wanted. A lot of people already grabbed their tier 3, so there wasn't a rush for me. But for me, getting Tornadoes this late in the draft is also pretty insane. Basically, the same explanation you had for your Thunderous. I like the Prankster ability on it. It gets 111 speed, 125 special attack, and 115 attack, and I can get defog on there if I want to. I can get tailwind support for my team, and I have it actually as a Z move user, so people have to think about that as well. Gets heat wave as support, knock off, U-turn, you name it, hurricane. It's a really good Pokemon for tier 3, I think, and especially with the prankster support, I really love having that. But what do you think about this Pokemon?
I think in combination with the rest of your team, it's nice to have another tailwind um, for Mega Scizor and Chandelure, for an example. Um, it's just if you choose to use a physical set or a special set. Again, this is one of the Pokemon you need to prepare for both of them.
Agreed. That's what I like about some Pokemon that you don't know what's coming, and it can be physical or special or both. So that's what I always like about some Pokemon. So really excited to have Tornadoes on this squad. And moving to the Garchomps, they're diving into tier 5 themselves as well, picking tier 5 Rhydon. And what do you think about Rhydon?
Rhydon is a nice Pokemon with a ground rock type, lightning rod ability. So um, although it's already immune to electric, uh, it even gets a special attack boosted with that. But the other two great abilities with Reckless and Rockhead is just a great Pokemon to set up some stealth rocks and get some earthquakes.
Agreed. I've had it myself. It's a really bulky Pokemon. Can tank hits with that Eviolite. Stealth Rock supports. Can even, if you dare to go that way, go for a Rock Polish, and can get really scary in the right situation. But overall, for tier 5, it's a really good defensive Pokemon. So good pick here for the Garchomps. And next up, going to Jurgen. He's going for his mascot pick as well. Jan, you know Jurgen. We've been in a couple leagues with him. A league without Jurgen grabbing Typhlosion is not a league.
No, it's just he gets almost a free pick to get Typhlosion, but again, that's something we can do. So we give him just the opportunity to choose between one of the 12 rounds to pick Typhlosion, and this time he did, and Pokemon, and um, it's a reasonably good speed stat, so that's nice. With Eruption that I used myself before, losing. So if you get the chance to do that, it's just nice.
Exactly, and being his mascot, Jurgen knows what he's doing with Typhlosion, so it's a really decent Pokemon. But if you put a decent Pokemon in the hands of somebody that knows what he's doing, Typhlosion can be really scary. So I know for sure he's excited about this pick. And next up, if we're going to the Reggies, we saw Gerder going on my team, but this time Conkeldurr is going to the Raging Reggies. Jan and I both talked about Conkeldurr a little bit already. And I love Conkeldurr myself, to be fair. Really good bulky Pokemon with 105 base attack, but also 140 base attack. Really good to have. You can run it Assault Vest or Life Orb or whatever you want to do with it. Gets Drain Punch, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, almost like that. Really good Pokemon, and despite it being so slow, also getting priority. So, what do you think about Conkeldurr, Jan? We already talked about it, but what are your feelings about it?
Yeah, just like you, I like on Keldor. But it's really bulky and it can hit really hard with punch, the elemental punches, a knockoff, just name it. In combination with an Iron Fist, which I think is the best ability a fighting type can have. So Conkeldurr is it's a great Pokemon due to his lack of speed.
Agreed. And going round 8 for tier 1, really good as well for the Reggies to grab that pick this late on. Speaking about good picks, I talked about you when we do the draft about this Pokemon. Explain to me and to the others watching why you picked Buzzwole.
Uh, Boswell is just one of the better you can um, with both his typings resisting the dark types with knockoff, seeing almost on a lot of Pokemon with Buzzball, it's just amazing to switch in and just step into the truck and ride with Buzzball. It will hit really hard.
The thing I like about your team right now is you decided that one Beast Boost Pokemon wasn't enough, and you decided to get a second Pokemon on there. So that's really scary on itself, but Blacephalon is the special side, Buzzwole's on the physical side, good defense as well. So getting Buzzwole, I think, as a tier 2 Pokemon, especially this late, is a really good value pick, and I'm excited to see you use it. And like I said about Stefan's and Mungus, when we play against each other, don't take possible and we'll still be friends. Thank you. Um, Next up, New York Nidos grabbing their first tier 4 Pokemon with Ariados. And what do you think about this Pokemon?
Sticky webs. I think sticky webs and toxic spikes. It's for this kind of Pokemon the thing you want to use for, and I think um, this Excadrill and Swallow appreciate the sticky web and toxic spikes in this one.
Agreed, it's a really good support Pokemon. He has a lot of speed, obviously, with some Pokemon, but some Pokemon really appreciate it. Excadrill is definitely one of them. And he doesn't have to bring it, but having the option and having your opponent letting think that you're gonna bring sticky webs, it's just one of those mind games again. So it's a good pick, and I'll definitely want to see him use that. And to end off round 8, I think this is a good Pokemon to have on a team. Snorlax going to the Quillfish. What I like about Snorlax is that it's a normal type, obviously, as you guys know, so it's only having the fighting weakness, but it has a good amount of abilities. With Gluttony, you can use if you're rocking a berry. It's rocking the Thick Fat ability to deal with those fire types and ice type moves. So that's really appreciated on this team, and especially with Mega Venusaur on there as well. but it also gets the immunity ability. So if you know that somebody likes to play the toxic game, put immunity on it. You cannot toxic it. Good HP, good attack stat, good special defense. It's really a frustrating Pokemon to play against. Do you agree with me on that one, Jan?
I can say nothing more than agree with you. And together with a curse and rest, phew, it's just
Even sleep talk on it if he wants to play that way. So it's really an annoying bulky Pokemon to have. So I think the Quillfish will enjoy that Pokemon. Looking at tier 8, or tier 8, we don't have tier 8 luckily, but round 8, there's definitely some good Pokemon going here. For me, personally, the Pokemon that stands out as a value pick has to be your Buzzwole. And also, what I really like is obviously my Pokemon, but Conkeldurr as well as Snorlax. Really good Pokemon Seco round 8.
yeah. Still seeing Shedinja there. I'm very curious to play against that. That thing get some kills.
I know, I really, like you said, he must have a strategy about it. And like I said, let's see what he will do with it. I hope he brings it to at least one game, just so that we can see how he wants to play with it. Moving up until round 9, one of the best spinners I feel. Fortress going round 9. Besides that, it gets the spikes and everything himself, so he can deal with that. Gets a sturdy ability, which makes him really useful, but also getting full switch, so he can just put spikes up on there or toxic, maybe spin the rocks away and just full switch out of there. So really good spinner on this team. What do you think about the Fortress?
Um, like you said, it has a great move pool. The stats are good. Only thing is he is very weak to fire, but with Gastrodon and Palossand, that's not going to be a problem for him.
No, agree. This Pokemon fits this team really well. Even the Venusaur with the thick fat can take some fire type moves, even if you don't want to play that game. But Snorlax being there, really good Pokemon for tier 3 on this team. Moving to the Nidos, they're going into tier 4 again. And one of the best tier 4 Pokemon in this league we had, I feel, is definitely Miltank. Because it has some good abilities as well with Sap Sipper, Scrappy, or Fig Fat. Sap Sipper making him immune to the grass type moves. Fig Fat being able to deal with the fire and ice type moves like we already talked about. But if he wants to go Scrappy, he can also hit ghost type moves. So really good Pokemon combined with Stealth Rocks, Thunder Wave, Body Slam, even Heal Bell, Milk Drink to heal himself up. Really, really good annoying Pokemon. What do you think?
Well, if I didn't pick Buzzwole, I would pick this one. So it's a great pick for him. Like you said, it's mainly a support Pokemon, but even that it looks like a support Pokemon, it even uh, get hits off on Pokemon. So with great abilities, great move pool, it's just an amazing Pokemon.
Agreed. So moving on to your team again, you can talk about your Dragon type Pokemon that you got on the team, Druddigon.
Because the Fairy Steel Dragon type wasn't my main, afford myself to wait to pick a Dragon type. Um, but I only have Uxie for Stealth Rocks, and I wanted one more Pokemon to set up some Stealth Rocks. And I looked into Tier 4, and there was a dragon that could use Stealth Rocks, and there was Druddigon.
Agreed. Good stealth rock user. And what I like about your Druddigon is you can run it defensively or you can run it offensively. So that's a good putting in the mind games again. Getting some good moves like Glare, for example, or Toxic, or even Dragon Tail to get those setup Pokemon off the field. But if you don't want that, you can just Sheer Force Life Orbit with Outrage, Fire Punch, and Gong Shot, for example. So I think for a tier 4, it's a very undervalued dragon, I feel, because you don't see it that many times. And people often think that it's easy to play around. But I think that Jordagon is a really good pick, I feel. Moving on to the Raging Reggies, they're going for Mandibuzz. What do you think about Mandibuzz going to the Reggies?
Many boss, people say that it's the best defogger in the format. Um, but not only for defog, it can use knockoff, roost, toxic, taunt, just name it. It's a great support with even the ability to attack some Pokemon with yeah, just with knockoff or with fall play.
Agreed. And what I also like about Mandibuzz is the weak armor ability. It boosts its speed by 2 stages if hit by a physical move. Does lower its defense, however, as well. But if you get a +2 speed off on Mandibuzz with a base 80 speed, it's really scary, and especially late game. But it's a really good Pokemon, not only for defog, as you said, but a really good value Pokemon to have. So I'm happy to see Mandibuzz in action. And when we're talking about Jurgen, he had to do it again. You know as well as I do, and the other people that played with Jurgen in leagues. If he doesn't pick Typhlosion, he always picks Ditto as well. And I actually thought maybe this time in the league, because we're in round 9, maybe he wouldn't go for Ditto. But guess what? He decided to go for Ditto again.
Yeah, the only thing about Ditto is you almost always have a choice scarf. So if you can get a knockoff on the right time, uh, I think Ditto becomes useless. But you have to predict it really well. So if you bring Ditto, you have to read, but he has to read your moves too. And it's about again the mind games. It's about who reads the best.
Exactly, and what he has with Ditto is if I want to bring, for example, boosting Pokemon, I have to think about that Ditto because he will just steal everything I've set up and be faster with the Choice Scarf if we have knocked it off. So that's really good mind game on his part, and I understand why he picks it, so nothing bad about that, but it's really one of his. If he wasn't called the Trapping Typhlosions, he would be called like something with Ditto, I feel, because he always picks it. But looking as we proceed to the Garchomps, they're deciding to go with not the Alolan Raichu this time, but just the regular Raichu. And what do you think about regular Raichu going to the Garchomps?
It's a great fault switcher. Even with a nasty plot, it can hurt really hard. He has a great speed stat. It's a mediocre special attack, but still great. Um, so, like I said, with a nasty plot, this thing can hurt many things.
Agreed, and it has static, so if he decides to switch it in and a physical attacker hits it, you can be scared of getting paralyzed yourself. Good coverage moves with Focus Blast as well, for example, on there. If he wants to go, maybe he can run Agility as well. So he has a lot of different options, but I definitely like to see Raichu in action. So I'm excited to see what this team will do with that. Next up, you already know it. It's gonna be my team again, and I think you will love the pick that I made. I decided to finish off my tier 4 at first, and I decided to go with Ambipom. Let's just be honest, I love Ambipom. It has a really good speed stat with 115. Gets the technician ability or pickup, but that's not useful. And skill link, if I want to go that way. But what I like about it is I can fake out everything first. I can then either go for a U-turn, for example. I can get return on their knock off. It's a really good speedy Pokemon that can hit insanely hard thanks to that Silk Scarf that it can have. So for me, grabbing from tier 4 this Ambipom, I really love it, and I think you do too.
Yeah, I like this Pokemon. This Pokemon fake out Silk Scarf is just a really big threat uh, to get up against. Um, it just gets in, uses fake out, and just U turns out again. It's really annoying Pokemon because it's the one of the only Pokemon that can use fake out this good with this amount of strength.
Agreed. So for me, grabbing that from tier 4, it's a really good value pick, especially round 9. So really happy to have that on the team. And moving on to the Mudkips, like the Blitzels, they're also going for a Pokemon that can flinch a lot and is known for that with Togekiss. What do you think about Togekiss as this pick?
Seeing Togekiss, I think Serene Race and flinching things with Air Slash. So if you don't get to pick Jirachi, you always have Togekiss to use with that.
Agreed. And what I like about Togekiss is it gets Thunder Wave as well. So if somebody is faster, you can Thunder Wave it up if possible, and be faster, and then just going for those air slashes and dealing those flinches. Really annoying Pokemon to play against if you're not faster. So for him, grabbing that combined with Mega Guard Jump again, it's not a fairy type though. That's the only downside I have to say for it. But other than that, looking besides that fact. Nothing bad to say about Togekiss, so really good flinching options. And going for the Tauntins actually right here, they're picking their first free pick with Florges. What do you think about Florges going to this team, Jan?
Um, Now, what I think about Florida is I see you use it in another league area. I didn't think it was that good in the draft format, but with the ability to use heal bell and defog and synthesis and toxic and still hurting some Pokemon, it's just nice to see.
I have to agree with you on that one. In the IBC where we're in together, I had Florges on my own team as well. And if you have a special attacker, just bring Florges in. It can deal a hit, wish itself back up to full, and just either heal the team up or spread toxics or whatever. Really good bulky support Pokemon. So I understand why the Tauntins picked Florges as their Pokemon. Moving on to the Bohemian Blitzels, they're going with Shaman Land. Shaman Sky obviously being banned from this league, but we decided to name Shaman Land anyway. Natural Cure has its ability, so even if you want to bring a Toxic on this Pokemon, it can just switch out and be healthy again. But what I like about Shaman is definitely the Seafair option that he brings.
Yeah, it's just nice to see another mythical Pokemon, one on a base stats around the table. Um, just prepare for a support or an attack set. So again, it's nice to see this kind of Pokemon. But to see him this late, I'm again surprised.
Agreed, and I've said a couple of times with 12 people drafting, there's going to be a really good amount of good Pokemon left. And Redmond decided to wait because he thought the moment was there to wait for it, but the time was right to pick Shaman. Really good pick round 9. And moving on to Mario and his Alakazam Amsterdam, what he's picking is, in my opinion, one of the most annoying psychic types on the board with Ray Uniclus. Also getting the Regenerator ability, obviously, it gets Magic Guard and also gets Overcoat, for example. So it has really good abilities, good special attack stat. It can set Trick Room up if it wants to. I've had it myself, and if you don't have a good answer to Reunitless, it can be really annoying to deal with. What do you think?
Yeah, like some of us probably um, Reuniclus with a drive. Look at his videos. Pokemon is very annoying. In combination with his Galissapod is crafty and Trick Room, um, it can be very annoying.
Agreed, and like I said, really good Pokemon, also to grab in round 9. And to finish off round 9, also a Pokemon I think should have been gone earlier. Don't think if it fits its team well, but Milotic going to the Beedrills. What do you think about their pick for grabbing Milotic?
I understand they still need a bulky water, but I'm not sure if this was the right one. Uh, not to say that there could be a wrong pick with Malo. I think he should go for some a little bit more speed. But if you look at this one with refresh, haze, scald, recover, it's an amazing Pokemon to still have. You can always rely on a Malaya to switch into something.
Agreed. There's nothing bad I can say about Milotic. Don't get me wrong. The only downside I feel is that it also has Suicune on this team already. So having both Milotic and Suicune on the team is a little bit too much, I feel. But he can decide which one of the two he wants to play with. And Milotic definitely a good Pokemon to have. Like I said, nothing bad to say about Milotic. So if we look at round 9 already, what do you think is the best pick this round?
Um, I think um, it's still has to be the Ditto. Jurgen knows what he's doing, and Ditto can be very annoying. But knowing when he switched into Ditto, you can't read him about that. So, like I said before, getting a knockoff almost impossible to get that. And with a choice scarf, Ditto just ruins your team.
Agreed. So I have to agree with you on that one. They're looking really good, as does Shaman. In round 9 still going. Really good pick. We're almost at the end. 3 more rounds to go. And the Beatles kick off round 10 with Ferrothorn. So I actually have some doubts about this pick, if I'm being honest. Not that I think Ferrothorn is a bad Pokemon at all, because I really love Ferrothorn. But seeing this team with a Tapu Bulu and a Lurantis already, grabbing a Pokemon, a Grass and a Steel type, I mean, he already has the Grass type, obviously. So I don't know if Ferrothorn fits this team, but Ferrothorn on itself, just looking at Ferrothorn, with the immense defense that it has, with spikes, stealth rocks, lead seed, knock off, whatever. You need a really good fire type Pokemon to take this thing down, because otherwise it can just tank your hits and be really annoying. What do you think about Ferrothorn on itself, but also about fitting on this team?
I have Ferret on itself. It's like you said, really annoying to fight against. But now that I see Ferret together with my low tick, I start get a little bit why he picked this one. But like you said, another fire weakness that doesn't fit in his team. Um, but mind games is the main word in his team.
Agreed. So I'm excited to see how we will play with that weakness. He also obviously has Suicune, for example, and Umbreon that can take some hits. But it's exciting to see how he will go with his last 2 picks to deal with that fire weakness in my book. And speaking about weaknesses, Mario decided to pick a Pokemon with no weaknesses at all, grabbing the electric type Electros. And what do you think about this Pokemon going to this team?
Um, Seeing Electros, you're thinking Earthquake and everything is fine because of ability. Um, he it in my opinion, it's a versatile Pokemon with full flamethrower and even so. There's really nothing he can hit.
Yeah, there's nothing else I can say about that. Gets knockoff as well. No weaknesses, which really helps on this Electros. And looking at his team, it really fits him that he has a Volt Switcher. He really needed that, I think. Getting a slow Volt Switch can be really important in some matches. So, really good choice on his part to get Electros. And next up, looking at the Bohemian Beetles, they're going for their tier 5 as well. And they're going for Garbodor. And what I think about Garbodor is it's a really good defensive Pokemon, providing spikes, toxic spikes, and toxic, and also can do a little bit of damage because what a lot of people don't know actually is that it also gets Seed Bomb. So that's a really good move to have. Get Gong Shot on there. So really, I think one of the best tier 5 Pokemon you can get on this team.
Yeah, it really is. And with if you think from Garbodor on a low health, he uses Pain Split and you can start all over again.
Agreed. And if you don't have the physical presence or to take him down, it's really annoying. So, like I said, really good choice for him to go into tier 5 and grabbing this Pokemon. And speaking about bulk, if you're looking at this team that the Tauntauns are drafting, getting Blissey as well on this team is a really, really bulky Pokemon to have. What do you think?
Blizzy is it's just bulk. Just saying, together with Registeel and Florgus, I think they can wear down some this team. Landorus and Volcanion and Zepstrika and Latias can get the sweeps from them. So I think this one really fits in this team. or
Agreed.
team.
If
My bad.
if they manage to cripple down the team, their physical and special presence can just sweep teams and finish them off. So really a good ball to see on this team. Marching Mudkips going for the 3 points as well into Tier 2 of Breydom. And for the people that don't know me that well, I really love having Breydom as one of my, well, I think it's maybe even my favorite grass type Pokemon to have. What I like about Breydom is the Spore ability, and after that, it can just set up a free Sword Dance if it wants. It has a good stat already. I think it has 130 attack stat from the start. It can get Bullet Seed, it gets Priority Mag Punch, Rock Tomb as well to deal with those flying types. So it's a really good pick, and I love to see how we will use this pick. What do you think?
It's the one of the Pokemon I always have decided not to because of his low speed stat. But um, I think it's because of my playstyle it doesn't fit. But if you know how to work with a Breloom, it can be very annoying, very hard hitting Pokemon.
Great. So I'm excited to see what the Mudkips will do with this pick. Moving on again to my team, I was looking to see what I still needed for my team, and I was looking into poison types because I really wanted a poison type. And when I was looking into the tier two, I saw Lego was still there, so for me it was a no-brainer grabbing Lego. I really love the speed stat. It's 103, so that's a good speed stat I think for a Scarfer. But combine that with a 127 special attack and 131 special defense. If I manage to get a kill off and be faster and everything, it's a really good Pokemon to have. I've used it in the past very successfully, and I hope to use it successfully again. What do you think about Knee Lego?
I think this one gets overlooked a lot of times. You can say that's a little bit of a forgotten Pokemon. Um, but it got great coverage in his moves, Stealth Rock, Toxic Spike, so that's nice. Beast Boost always comes in handy. Um, really, more I don't have to say. His stats is just great. The only lack of defense, but looking at your team, that's not a problem.
No, I think I'll be able to manage that because it's here to be like a late game sweeper, or maybe early game get Stealth Rocks up, or even Toxic Spikes up. So I can play whatever I want with it. So I really love having the Lego on the team again. Next up, looking at the Garchomps, they decided that they want every single type possible on their team, grabbing their last free pick, Sil Valley. What do you think of Sil Valley going to the Garchomps?
What not to think about Silvally to getting the choice between every single type there is in this format. So that's always nice. If I'm not mistaken, he gets defog, knock off. No, he doesn't get knock off, but um, he gets ice fang, ice beam. You can uh, again you see in this draft you see a lot of Pokemon with the ability to choose between attack or special attack, and this one is not an exception.
No, he's perfect for that because he gets base 95 stats across the board. Gets flame charge even if he wants to be faster than he already is. Parting shot, I really love parting shot as a move because it lowers the attack and special attack of its opponent, getting a good switch into somebody else, dealing less amount of damage. So Silvally going round 10, I really love it and a good value pick for the Garchomps, I feel. So going back to the Typhlosions, this is a Pokemon I feel if he plays well with it will surprise a lot of people. Swoobat, um, I think a lot of people don't actually look into Swoobat, but it gets a lot of good poke or abilities. It gets the unaware ability, for example, as well. But its best ability, I feel, is the simple ability. And yes, as a Z move user, so I'm excited to see what Jurgen actually will do with this Swoobat.
I'm a little bit surprised to see this Pokemon. I never see one in a draft format before, but like you said, I'm curious to see what he will do with this one.
I think, like we said about another Pokemon like Shedinja, for example, you pick Swoobat for a reason. And I think you only pick Swoobet if you know what you're doing with it. So if you ever know what he's doing with Swoobet, it can be really scary. So I like to see him use it and like to see it in action in this league. Looking at the Reggies, they still needed another tier 4 Pokemon, and they decided to go with Magneton on their team. And what do you think about Magneton on the Reggies?
Magneton is just it's a great Pokemon with Volt Switch ability and sturdy in this team. Um, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the few electric types that can use Eviolite. So that's the thing that always keeps in mind. With a 70 base stat speed, a choice scarf is a thing, so that's nice. With flash cannon, it can hurt a lot of fairy types. So and switching out with full switch is always nice.
Agreed, and it gets Magnet Pull, for example, to trap those other steel types. And if it's rocking HP Fire, it can just get the kills on those Pokemon. So it's a really good Eviolite user, as you said, and really excited to see Magneton on this team. And we saw Silvally go, and you decided, well, since I couldn't get Silvally, you took a type Null, I see. So tell people why you picked type Null.
I choose type null because it's another U-turner. Um, with Eviolite, it gets bulky enough to take a lot of hits. Um, like we said before with Incineroar, this one has only has also um, can also use Flame Charge, so his speed can get up. And in my opinion, is one of the better.
Yeah, I really love Tylenol. I've used it in a draft league myself, where we're only allowed to use tier 3 and below. But if you can get a flame charge of iron defense, for example, it gets sword stance. So it's a really good Pokemon to have. And if you don't prep for Tylenol and you have it up against you, I wish you the best of luck because it can actually sweep teams. And I'm excited to see you use it. So moving on into the Neodorp Nidos, they're deciding to go with Mortar as their fire type. One of the best fire types I think there's left right now. Mortar, I'm not saying it's underrated, but it gets overlooked at a lot, I feel. But it actually has good stats, I think, because it's a 125 base special attack. Um, Abilities, not that super with only Flame Body and Vital Spirit, but when you have like Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, Focus Blast, HP Grass obviously can run. It's really good. It also gets Earthquake, which I really love on Mortar. So I think it's overlooked Pokemon, but still good Pokemon, and I like to see the Nidos use it. What do you think?
I think it's like you said, it gets overlooked. It's not a great Pokemon, but it's not that bad as well. Um, so I liked using it in another draft. I like to see what it's gonna do with this one.
Agreed. So let's see what it will do with it. And the end of round four, we saw a few mascot picks already, but the Quillfish decided to do that as well, grabbing the Quillfish as their free slot Pokemon. What do you think about Quillfish going to this team?
Uh, Quillfish, it's a little bit of annoying. And the use what Pokemon I could use for the next pick, and it was on my radar, but with toxic spikes and some other things to annoy just people. It's a nice Pokemon to use. It's not very often picked, but it can do some things that can get people off guard with this one.
Agreed, and it gets, for example, spikes. It still gets sword stance, which I didn't know before I looked into this, but it gets sword stance as well. Intimidate is always useful to have on your team if you have a physical presence you want to lower. So it's a really good option for him to have, and it must be his mascot for a reason. So if he knows how to use it, he will use it to the very best. So I'm excited to see him use this Quillfish. Looking at the round up on round 10, who do you think Jan had the best value pick in this round?
I think this one I have to go Blizzy. Um, to get Blizzy this late, this kind of bulk. Um, I think it's one of the best picks in this round.
I have to agree with that one. Blissey definitely a good choice. I also like the Sil Valley because it gives the Garchomps option to have all the titles on his team with one Pokemon. I really love that. So still seeing some really good Pokemon go out this round. And what I want to say to everybody still watching, first of all, thank you for still being here and watching. And I just want to say that Jan is gonna leave us right now. Um, Jan, you can say it yourself. You told me that you have to go because it's getting late over here. Do you have anything to say yourself for the people that are still watching or watching this later on YouTube, obviously?
I just want to say thank you for the support and this draft we did. Just keep watching. It will get better with the last two turns.
Okay, and what I want to do, since you're still here, I really want to thank you for setting this up with me because we didn't talk about that yet. But Jan actually took care of the layout for the draft and he helped me out with setting everything up. We did that both together, so I want to thank you for that. And I will definitely send you a message when I'm done, and we will still talk about everything that happened. So I will talk to you later, friend.
Okay, I wish you all a good night.
So there we go. And here we go. So I will finish it off with you guys by myself, but it's only two more rounds to go, so we're gonna round it up. And going into round 11, we see the Quillfish grabbing Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, I feel, is a Pokemon you don't see a lot, and I like those picks because people have to look into it really good to see what they can expect. But Wigglytuff actually has a good HP stat with 140, getting the Frisk ability to see what his opponent has, which could be useful. And so grabbing that as a tier 5 Pokemon, really good pick, and I love to see that in action for the Quillfish. Looking at the new Torpedoes, they are going for the last free pick with Jellicent. Really good water type. Getting the ghost type ability on it, or ghost type typing on it, not ability obviously, but getting Cursed Body as well, or getting Water Absorb. Two good typings to have. Decent stats all around with 105 special defense, for example, and 100 HP. Not a Pokemon that you want to play easily around, so good pick this late for the Nidos to get this as their water type, I feel. For Jan, obviously he cannot talk about himself, but I was talking to him at this point in the draft because he had to go at this point and he left his picks with me. And he decided to go with Tauros as one of his Pokemon that he wanted. Tauros, I feel, is a really threat or a big threat to deal with. Good speed stat, it gets Intimidate, which can lower the physical stat if he wants to bring it in. Anger point if he wants to play the dangerous game. If he gets hit by a crit, the attack stat raises to +6, and you don't want to be dealing with a +6 Tauros with 100 base attack, but also getting sheer force. So he has a good amount of options. Earthquake, for example, Fire Blast, Body Slam, Zen Headbutt, really good coverage moves for Tauros. And I'm excited to see what Jan can do with his Tauros in the end with this team. The Raging Reggies are going for Dragonair as their Pokemon. To be fair, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't seen Dragonair in action that much, and I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with Dragonair. The things that stands out for me with Dragonair is obviously the Marvel skill ability, so you might use it for that. Or Shed Skin if he gets toxic, paralyzed, or whatever. Shed Skin can just get rid of that. So it can be a really good supportive Pokemon by that. Getting the Eviolite option as well. And he picked it with a reason, I always say when people pick their Pokemon. And I'm excited to see what his reasoning is behind Dragonair. Moving on to Jurgen and his scary Typhlosion's team, he's picking Per Ugly, and Per Ugly is a good tier 5 Pokemon with, I think, a very surprising speed set if you look at the Pokemon, with 112 base speed. Getting Fake Out, for example, getting Sucker Punch, even getting U-Turn and Knockoff. It's a very good value pick for him from tier 5 by seeing what's still left in there. So I'm excited to see if he will actually bring it sometime and how he will play with that. So good pick. Moving on, Absolutely love this pick from the Grand Lake Garchomps. Xcloud, I've used it in so many leagues, but it never fails to amaze me. It can tank hits really well. I love the scrappy ability. Uh, Only thing you have to do basically, and maybe I'm gonna spoil this for the opponents watching him. Sorry about that, Stefan, but the only thing you basically have to do is choice spec this thing, boom burst away, and if your opponent doesn't have a steel type on the team, it will wreck Pokemon for sure. So really awesome to see Xcloud still being in this league. For me, you guys, we're back to my team now, and I decided I still needed an electric type as well. And I saw that Electivire was still there, and I already knew what my last Pokemon was going to be at this point. And so for me, grabbing Electivire was the Pokemon I really wanted. Getting Motor Drive and Vital Spirit as its abilities, so that's really good. But also base 95 speed with a 123 attack stat is really good, I feel. And it gives me a full switching option. It gets me Earthquake, Ice Punch, even Cross Chop if I want to go that way. Wild Charge gets really good options, I think, as a moveset. So I'm very happy that I got Electivire this late in the draft because it could have gone way earlier, I feel. Speaking of Pokemon that could have gone a lot earlier, Mudkips are grabbing Salazzle as their Pokemon. Really good Pokemon with the corrosion ability, being able to spread toxics all over. So, for example, in my case, if I have Scizor, uh, there's not going to be a situation where I'm going to bring in Scizor, but let's say I'm going to bring in Scizor, he can just toxic me for free. And even though I'm steel type, it will affect me, so that's always a good option to have. But looking to have this as a fire type, especially this late with that special attack stat and that speed, really awesome Pokemon to have, I feel. The Tremendous Fountains are also going for their free pick with Mian Xiao, and I think this team really needed Mian Xiao. They grabbed a lot of bulk in the last couple of rounds, and so they needed a little bit of speed. But besides the speed part, Mian Xiao hits like a truck with 125 base attack, but it gets reckless ability, so that's really good to have. Or if you want to play it safe, it gets a regenerator ability. Gets good coverage moves with knock off, U-turn, poison jab, or high jump kick. So it's a really scary Pokemon to play around, especially with that base 105 speed. If you scarf it, it's pretty much going to outspeed everything. So it's a really good pick, and I'm excited to see what they will do with me and Shell. The Blitzels also going with a fighting type, going with Primeape, also known for his U-turning abilities. Primeape gets overlooked at for some point, I feel, but with his abilities with Anger Point, Defiant, and Vital Spirit, he has good abilities in that way. Base 95 speed, being pretty solid in that department for a Scarfer, and giving him U-turn, momentum, or close combat, or a gong shot. Also, like me and show good coverage moves. So I'm excited to see if he will use Primate actually in this draft league, and if so, how he will play with the Primate. So moving on to the next pick is the Masquerain for the Alakazam Amsterdam. Really good pick for tier 5. It gives him sticky web options, which some of his Pokemon could really appreciate. And also gives him the intimidate option, so that's always good to have, I feel. So what he is doing with his team, he knows what he's doing, and I'm excited to see what he further wants to do. Obviously, he can also run Quiver Dance if he wants to go that way, but we will see what his ideas are with Masquerain. And to round off round 11, you guys, the Beedrills are grabbing Drampa as their Dragon type Pokemon. And I'm actually happy to see that they're grabbing this Pokemon because I haven't seen it so many times in a Draft League. But having the Berserk option, which raises your special attack if you get half on your HP, with already 135 special attack stat, I just love seeing that in action. I'm playing this team week one, actually, I can already tell you that now. But it's a really good Pokemon, and grabbing that as a tier 4, I think. It's a really good value pick as a dragon type to have on your team. Only downside I feel is also normal typing on it, which makes it a little bit less valuable against fighting types, but it is what it is. So, still, I love this Pokemon on this team, and I'm really excited to see it in action. Let me get a sip of water, please. Ah, now the yawn's gone. I feel that my throat's getting there, but we're almost at the end. And this is a round 11 recap, you guys. And looking at this recap, there's still a good amount of good Pokemon being chosen. For me, if I would have to pick a really good Pokemon this round, it would have to be Salazzle and Mienshao. They're still going this round, round 11. Really good picks for these teams. But overall, you see what people want on their teams. They're grabbing the value picks they still need. So, with that fact, we're going into the last round, you guys. Round 12. And the Beedrills are going for Crobat. And I love Crobat. Good flying or a good flying poison type, really good speed stat, getting U-turn momentum off as well. Good ability with Infiltrator, getting Roost on there for himself. I love Pokemon getting Roost, so it's really good that he has Crobat for that. And I'm excited to see what he will do with this Crobat. But this team, overall, if I have to give my opinion about it, really good team. But there is some fire weaknesses on there, so he has to play with that. But he picked it for a reason, and he can definitely work with it. And this pick, I don't know if Mario actually did it for the fun or did he find it useful. But me and Jan, for example, and some other people, we're talking about Audino in the draft that talk a few times. That just messing around, like if you pick Audino, you automatically win, stuff like that. But Mario actually decided that when he saw Audino, that he actually started loving it. So he grabbed it as his last Pokemon. To be fair, it gets a regenerator ability, which makes it useful, also providing a wish support for his team. And 103 HP, 86 defense, and 86 special defense. You won't get this Pokemon down easily, so it will be a good support Pokemon for his team, and he needs to bring it to at least one of his matches. Otherwise, we're gonna ban Mario from this draft forever. Moving on to the Blitzels, they only had their Mega left. Seeing their 3 points, they had to dive into the Tier 2 Mega. And they decided to go with Mega Pidgeot. And I absolutely love Mega Pidgeot. First of all, in the beginning, I was like, why is Mega Pidgeot in draft leagues? And I didn't really appreciate it. But I've used it myself, and it's a really, really good Pokemon to have. It gets really good special attacks at 135, good speed at 121. But the thing I love about Mega Pidgeot is that it gets a stab hurricane that never misses. And that's crucial because Hurricane is a good powerful move, but it also gets confusion off 50% of the time. So having that on your squad is really useful. So good pick on the Blitzels for their Mega Pokemon. And last pick for the Tauntauns here, the tremendous Tauntauns grabbed Swampert, and they already have a fire type with Volcanion, but Swampert and Volcanion don't share the same weaknesses, so I get that. It gives them another Stealth Rock support option, and if they don't want to bring a fire type to the game and don't want to feel that way, or just don't want to be like, we don't want Volcanion as our water type, Swampert's there. It's pretty bulky. Gets Scald, Earthquake. Like I already said, Stealth Rocks. Really good support Pokemon. Really good bulk. And I love to see that Pokemon in action for this team. The Marching Mudkips actually pick a Pokemon I haven't seen in a while in the league, Reggie Gigas. And it's known for slow start ability, so that will drain it down for sure. But if he manages to deal with that and get rid of the slow start, good luck playing against this Pokemon because it's really bulky. But I hope to see it in action and see it put well into action. And if he does, it will be a nuisance to deal with. And this is my Pokemon, you guys, for round 12. Tangela will join my squad. If you watch my IBC videos, I already picked Tangela in that league as well. What I like about Tangela is a mini version of Tangrowth with the ability to have a Eviolite on there. And as a physical wall, it's amazing. It can leech seed, it can toxic, it can Giga Drain, it can knock off, it can take hits perfectly. So having Tangela on my team was the missing puzzle. And I can tell you guys, I haven't been sniped once. So having this team, I really love using it. So we're gonna see how this works out in the league for me. The Grand Lake Garchomps also had to go into their Mega slot as their last pick, going for Mega Blastoise, a really bulky water type Pokemon, which I love. Getting Rapid Spin, but his ability also gives him an offensive presence on the field. What Mega Launcher does is it boosts the aura and pulse moves by 50%, and that's really insane to deal with. So I love to see this Mega Blastoise in action for this team, and it's a good pick as a Mega Pokemon, especially this late on. The Typhlosions finish off their draft with Mega Beedrill. So Mega Beedrill is known for his insane speed stat, which gives him U-turn support or knockoff. It also gets the adaptability ability, so that's a good ability to have for this Pokemon. Gets Drill Run, gets Toxic Spikes, gets Pursuit actually, so you have to deal with that. But overall, grabbing this Pokemon late on, it fits his team really well. So I like to see this Pokemon in action. Not his team, but he drafted really well, so props to him for that. The Raging Reggies, as their last pick, grab Vileplume, really solid grass and poison type Pokemon in Tier 5. And what I love about Vileplume is Strength Sap that it gets. Really unevaluated move, I feel. But what it basically does, it heals your HP by your target attack stat. And it actually drops it as well. So it's a really good move to have. And I like to see if he's going to use it. But overall, it's a good Pokemon to have as a grass type from Tier 5. Young and his team decided they needed a poison type. Like I said, we already talked about it at the end when the draft was still going on. And he decided to go for Weezing. And Weezing, in my book, for a Tier 5 Pokemon, is really solid. Gets a left-handed ability as well. So he's taking away those ground weaknesses, for example, for Blacephalon and Klefki. Really good support. Gets Toxic Spikes, Sludge Bomb, can Will-O-Wisp threats, can Taunt even. If you think he's low, he can Pain Split it up again. So don't underestimate Weezing. And I think for his Tier 5, he really finished his team with this Pokemon. Despite having Venusaur already, but they're totally different rules. So I don't mind him grabbing that. The new Torpedoes actually grabbing a Pokemon I didn't expect with Shiftry. Shiftry in my book is really useful in some teams, and other than that, I haven't seen him used in a while. So it's exciting to see what his plan is with Shiftry. Still getting a 100 attack stat and 80 speed, so he's good enough to be a Scarfer. Or a Life Orb because he gets Leaf Storm, for example, Knock Off, Sucker Punch, but he also gets Defog, so maybe he wanted an extra Defogger and said, well, I'm going to take Shiftry and that's going to be my Defogger. So I'm excited to see that. And to end off this live draft, you guys, the Heart District Quillfish grab Moltres as their final pick. Moltres being a solid fire and flying Pokemon. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Um, but Moltres, like I said, being a solid flare, fire, flying type Pokemon with Flame Body and Pressure on there as its abilities, 125 special attack. So it's really a good Pokemon to have, and especially to finish it off, really solid Pokemon. Good fire type to fit this team. And this is a round recap for round 12, you guys. A lot of good Pokemon still going at the end. The Mega Pokemon to the teams obviously looking really well. And like I already talked about, I'm excited to see Aldno in action and to see what the Alakazam Slam can do with that. And with that, I will end off this live stream for you guys. We've been here for a while, so everybody that has watched or is still watching, thanks to me or what do I want to say? With me and Jan, we both want to thank you for showing your support. We both really appreciate that. I already talked about it in the middle of the video, but if you haven't heard that or if you've forgotten about that, what's going to happen is this video is going to go up on me and Jan's channel this Saturday. His channel is gamers underscore duo and then a space and then NL, and that's his YouTube link. And after that, mine, you already know, Don Scissor, as is my Twitch, so you already know that. If you're not following me yet, or if you're not following Jan, please make sure you do. And after that, what we will doing for this league, we have a couple of other players being on YouTube as well, besides me and Jan. The week one matches will start on, to be precise, the 22nd of September. We'll have the first team builders up, and on the 23rd of September, we'll have the first matches up for everybody. And from that on, will be a weekly thing because we already started the league. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but from that moment on, you can expect the experience on everybody's channel that's in the league. I think we have me and Jan. I don't know if Alex Amsterdam's still going to do it. He was maybe thinking about it. But we have the Grand Lake Garchomps that are going to do it on their channel. The Typhlosions were thinking about that as well. So we have a couple of people on there on YouTube that will represent the league and do a good job with that. So what I want to do again is thank everybody for watching, and I hope to see that you show your support to me and Jan and all the other people in the league, and we will show on our YouTube channel and provide the links to the people over there. And from me and Jan, even though he's not there, again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time on the channel or on Twitch, of course. Bye bye.